It's like I never left. Oh, there's that. Okay, get in there. Oh, excellent. Okay, here it comes, everyone. Oh, it's not recording. Why? Okay, it is now. All right, we're good. It starts in 3, 2, 1.
Time to wake up to a new reality.
Howdy, all, and welcome back to Core. This is Core, where we talk about video games and the world around them. I'm Scott Johnson with Bo Schwartz and John Jagger, and I just got back from Las Vegas, Nevada, where I had a whole lot of fun and a nice, relaxing time. But I wanted to make one comment about my Steam Deck, which I took along with me and played a bunch of games.
Tell us about your deck.
You want to talk about your deck again?
Again, about the deck. So I took it to Vegas and took it to the pool one night. Because I was just like, yeah, I'm not getting in there. You guys all swim. I'm just gonna be over here playing a game. It's so stupid. I'll talk about it later.
Your deck in the water?
I didn't bring my deck in the water. No, I didn't feel good about that. I could have gone to the hot tub, but I just thought, it's too much uncontrolled factors here. What if some young punk comes running and jumps in and cannonballs my deck right into the?
You don't want to play on a small deck.
No,
you want to play
on a huge deck.
On a regular sized deck.
Yeah, great big giant deck. So I did that. I sat out there at a table and I played Metroid Fusion, more on that later, for a real long time. And boy, that thing got more looks from people than any Game Boy ever had out.
They probably were wondering how bold you are to play a Nintendo game on a non-Nintendo device.
Could they see you were playing?
Look at Captain Bold over here challenging Nintendo when they're feeling real litigious.
That's true. I didn't think of it that way.
It wasn't that. It was the device, though. They couldn't see your screen.
No, they don't know. It's just so big, and a lot of the kids made sense. Little kids would go, "Dad, what's he got over there? His Switch is big. Why is it so big?" Like I heard of that a couple times. But there were even like old people going, "That's interesting. What he's got there."
Let me see that deck.
It was a weird back and forth a little bit with a few people, but anyway, the deck getting looks in
Did
Vegas.
it make you self-conscious? Where you're like, I'm going to go into the hotel room. I'm just getting
eventually I was like, I'm zipping
Everyone's
this up.
just wants to look at my big deck, and not, like it's kind of annoying with all these people paying attention.
Well, that's funny you say that because I think it was maybe 2-3 minutes after that I said, Kim, I'm going upstairs, and I zipped up the case and put it in the bag and took it up.
You hate to see it. People don't stare at people's big
Scott is
deck.
more than a big deck, everybody.
Yeah, I'm a lot more
He's
than
a human
just a
being.
Deck. Yeah, I'm a man,
Exactly.
okay? And I have man's needs, and my needs were Metroid-shaped.
Look at your own deck.
Yeah, go look at your own deck and stop looking at me. But anyway, it was a really fun time. I'm glad I got away, but I'm happy to be back since this was the last show I did before I left. Oh, that's not true. I did Film Sack before we left. But it felt like it. So it's nice to be back on Core, and we may as well get started. Oh, looky here, our main topic. All right.
Shocking.
So for a long time, a lot of us, myself included, were under the impression that Overwatch 2, one of the major reasons that it was versioned and became...
This is our main topic?
Yep.
But Bo clearly just joining.
Yeah, checking the notes. Overwatch 2 was promised to have a major PvE component when it got announced. And then later, they said, well, we're going to launch it without it, but it's in the works, and boy, are we making progress. It's going to be awesome. And then, a couple of days ago, they announced that Overwatch 2 PvP mode, hero mode, is canceled. They're not doing
Interesting strategy to try and keep people away from BlizzCon, that's for sure.
Well, I have
And then
questions
the
about
very
that.
next day they announced BlizzCon. That was the other thing. They're like, well, everybody's feeling so good.
Yeah. Well,
What if we all
salty.
got together? And here's the dates you'll do that.
Man, if they didn't have Diablo 4 coming out in a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, whatever it is, they would be in a weird pinch right now, like just with the community. Like, I don't know if you can even, if they didn't have Diablo 4 shipping, I don't think you could even do a BlizzCon in the wake of news like this when there is nothing else going on.
By all accounts, WoW is doing okay.
It's doing fine.
And the people who are still playing it,
yeah,
it's fine.
They're having a great time. Hell, Bo's playing. Well, he's playing hardcore freaking the
I've
classic.
been playing I've kind of got the World of Warcraft bug right now. I got plenty of other games to play, but what do I want to play? Classic era Warcraft.
Yep. It's like
Warcraft.
2007 where you live, and it's just how it is.
It's a little more than that, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't count that as like, a dub. That's a community W.
Yeah.
And some people who work at the company who are nurturing it, but that's not Activision executives going like, let's capitalize on this hardcore World of Warcraft, even though that's what they should be talking about, I think. But,
maybe they probably are, at least internally, at least having those discussions.
They've confirmed they're doing official hardcore
servers. But we're talking about probably there's people on like the Warcraft team who the developers are probably fostering it. I don't think Bobby Kodak's going like, what's going on with that hardcore WoW? He probably doesn't know.
No.
I don't think.
You know what I mean?
knows.
Like,
yeah.
the company, I'm sure it didn't come up in their quarterly call, but it's like low key the biggest piece of positive Blizzard movements in media and things being shared. It's like one of the biggest wins I think they've had recently, even if people aren't playing it, just in terms of interest, public interest.
Yeah, and it's coming out of straight out of the community instead of out of the company, which is interesting.
Yeah. Well, they officially announced hardcore servers this week too.
Oh, they did. Okay,
but it's not officially like here's a press release. It's the guy. It might be Five Guy. I don't know how many people work on classic era stuff. It was just announced on a community stream. So I don't think it's going to be rolled out with crazy fanfare. It feels very like niche even within Blizzard, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I don't know how you capitalize on it monetarily either. I mean, your classic is classic, and you're letting
I subbed
happen.
And I would not sub to play retail.
Well, that's true.
So they're getting revenue from someone,
True.
And I'm talking about it on my show.
Have you been Have you been tempted is the word I was looking for, to try current retail during this process, or no?
I have no interest.
None at all? You don't want to be on it?
It was way too much content. I want to get to other games. It's not interesting.
But this is, I admit, this is
classic,
a very
classic
interesting
Warcraft
thing.
Is like better. Not better, because there's a lot of things you can point to and say like retail's developed and made things better, blah blah blah. But hardcore WoW, I wouldn't play just classic WoW. I'm playing hardcore WoW.
Right.
It's like it's for that unique challenge, and it's when something's happening and a lot of people get caught up in it, like the community that's sort of growing around it is interesting and fun, and it's for all the reasons in spite of. I think there's nothing commercial going on here. This is like an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the downsides of this announcement of Overwatch 2 losing its PvP is that everybody assumes, not everybody, a bunch of people have assumed this was the plan all along. Basically strip the current business model out of Overwatch 1, release Overwatch 2, which is basically 1, and then say, oh, we're taking out that cool PvP thing or PvE thing that was really going to set 2 apart from 1. So now what are we left with? We're left with 1 with a battle pass.
I guarantee you that is not what happened.
Guarantee it also.
Like,
there's no way it's
I'm
that
the
easy.
biggest Overwatch 2 detractor you'll find, and I guarantee you they worked their asses off on this thing that they didn't put out. That doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make it a good thing, but I guarantee you effort, time, resources, money, and energy went into it.
100% sure of that. I know it did because I know people who played it, and there was a lot more going on there during testing than we'll ever know. But yeah, it's almost like Titan got canceled twice, by the way. It's a little bit how it feels.
Well, we've been down this road before, even when it came to Diablo 3. Grateful that they said something. Understand why they would wait till after the sales pitch to decide. I can't imagine this was decided this week. Somebody, even if not everyone, there had to be a sense that this was headed that way.
Do you think there's a strategy in having it go out the day before the BlizzCon noise, or would it have been better to announce BlizzCon and then announce something like this?
I think this is probably the right order, although it does come across extremely tone deaf to be like, hey guys, remember the whole reason we put a 2 after this thing and got you hyped for it? It's not happening. Hey, come watch us announce a bunch of new products, maybe,
Yeah.
and see what else we're not going to put out anytime soon.
Well, I think it's bullshit that they're bailing on this. I mean, they probably have to and don't want to, but
Yeah.
this smacks of in hindsight, this smacks of doing like making a sweet trailer for Anthem and having no game behind it just because E3's there. So we have BlizzCon, let's make a sweet cinematic, but we got nothing. Like you, this is not a new theme in gaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even for Redfall as a recent example. Don't get out there and hype a product and say it's amazing and release turd. And I know Blizzard won't release a turd, which is why they've done the hard thing. It was a hard thing. But I just think it's bullshit that they abandoned the project altogether when, like, Starship Troopers just got released. There's a bunch of looter shooters. It's a competent, I'm like, you shouldn't have said anything. Whatever is going on with this Overwatch 2,
Yeah.
which feels like a developers versus executive C-suite battle that the fans, they're just being taken out on fans, getting misinformed and hyped for no reason. I don't know. I just think it's bullshit. Like
Yeah.
they can StarCraft multiplayer PvE. They're canning Overwatch 2 multiplayer PvE. It was the only reason I was excited for Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 is there's not going to be consequences for it, but like I think there's an argument to be made that like they're on the wrong side of the law on this one. Like there
I
should
think the only reason they get away with it is because they didn't ever charge anybody for it.
Yeah, they made the game free.
maybe
So
yeah, and that's why I don't feel that bad. Like I guess it's like I've been here before. I could see it coming, or I'm not that shocked by it. But I still think it's like
it sucks.
it's really shitty to like promise something on that level,
Yeah.
and then not be able to deliver. Like
It was the whole pitch.
Well, and it also it's not that, like, here's the thing is, if there's going to be people listening to this that go, well, I don't really care about Overwatch 2 and it's not something that interests me, but it wasn't just Overwatch 2 that this gets impacted by. For starters, the PvE component, we learned this from the interviews around it, is what negatively impacted and caused such a content drought in Overwatch 1.
Right.
So if you were a fan of Overwatch 1 and you were burned by, wow, they're just really not doing anything because of this. If you got excited about Overwatch 2 because of the PvE component, obviously you got burned by this. If you're excited about Diablo 4, I think this is a legitimate red flag to be nervous. Now, are they different teams? Yes, for the same company. They are promising a live service ongoing game. That is part of what caused this problem. It would be stupidly naive of you to just go, well, they'll get it right for Diablo 4. That doesn't mean it's going to fail. I don't know. But
they're gonna drop
this is
Diablo
the
4
same
support
company.
super quick.
This is the same exact company failing on the live service side of a game again, which they have done so many times. This is a red flag. So anybody who's looking at it and going, well, I'm actually excited about seasons and battle passes and all of that for Diablo 4. This is a thing to be nervous about. It doesn't ruin the game. It doesn't mean the game's going to be bad, but it certainly loses faith in the company that's wanting to say, put your faith in us. We're going to be doing long-term support for Diablo 4. And you would be silly to think otherwise.
Yeah.
So it
Diablo
has
4's Destiny's already written though. It's an ARPG. Like I'm pretty sure it's gonna go from Star Child to Redheaded Stepchild in
Really?
about a year.
A year? Wow. They
I
don't
mean,
they don't want that.
The drop off will be huge. There's a core audience for ARPGs. There's a reason they make Call of Duties every year, but not Path of Exiles every year. You know what I mean? Like it's a niche genre that they're trying to make mainstream. They're trying to squeeze it for every dollar they can. Whatever's coming at BlizzCon and whatever's coming next is the main play. This is a stopgap. Like Diablo is a stopgap in the overall schedule. I'm pretty sure. So it'll be favored for a while, maybe longer than a year. But yeah, I'm fully expecting there to be promises unfulfilled on the Diablo side of things, so I'm not buying any of the roadmap bullshit that's coming out along with after launch. There'll certainly be seasons. They'll certainly support the game for a long time. But if you're looking at like a big AAA release to follow up, like an X pack or big content drops, World of Warcraft, this is not. I don't
It's just a question of how many times are you going to get burned by the same company making the same promises before you go, hey, maybe I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't buy Diablo 4. Doesn't mean you can't be hyped about Diablo 4. It just means go in with realistic expectations.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Overwatch 2, even if you don't care about Overwatch 2, is an interesting news story in general because Blizzard, by all accounts, should be a very successful video game company. And seeing news like this, seeing them drop the ball this hard on their customers is a bad sign. And it's not good, especially as we continue to kind of get into this era of every game has to be a live service game.
Yeah.
It's just not great.
It's a bad look. Also, hey, Blizzard, we'd love press passes this year to BlizzCon. Just let us know how that goes.
We cover it like we're press, whether or not we're saying nice things or not. And you know what? They deserve to get a little flack for this. Again,
I'm the only person that gave Diablo 4 a 10.
Yeah,
I give it a 10.
Not that my review
Bo did review it
things,
very early. He gave it a 10.
There's no shortage of favorable things that we're gonna say Blizzard's way, but man,
of course,
this happened with Diablo 3. Someone was mentioning Diablo 3 in the chat. There was supposed to be a second X pack. Like Reaper Souls was left on a cliffhanger. Yeah. They bailed on it and then decided not to tell anyone. It's so weird to be like, at least they told people this time, because they could have. It's in their playbook just to not have even said anything.
That's true. So. Well, in the case, but the problem is you said you were making it in this case. In Diablo 3's case, they never said they were making a third expansion.
Yeah, they basically said it. I mean, watch that cinematic. It's like to be continued.
Yeah, but they never sold the game.
It was implied, but they never did come out.
I'm just saying, like, Blizzard themselves never said, "Hey, looking forward to our second expansion." I mean, that just never came up. So
yeah, I guess this is more egregious because they literally dropped a trailer for it and gave it a number. And without the PvE content, then it's just Heroes 2.0. And Heroes is technically a sequel. We're playing Heroes of the Storm 2 right now.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm 2.
It's the same amount of change that they made. Like now that there's no, and they were kind of going, well, there's going to be PvE content. No, like we were expecting a game.
I've done that Halloween.
I don't want your missions shit.
Like, I don't want to do that anymore.
You don't get a pass on that. Yeah, that's not going to bring me into your game.
Right.
I keep seeing them correct this, and I don't blame the devs for doing it. Of course, if you're on the team, you're going to say this, but I keep seeing them going, no. People keep saying like we're abandoning PvE. We aren't. We're abandoning aspects of it, guys. The narrative wouldn't be that you're abandoning it if we thought what you're saying is coming was good enough.
Also, 6 months
after launch. The reason everybody is saying that it's not coming is because we don't count what you're saying. We understand that you think a cinematic is some solid PvE content coming down the pipeline.
It's not.
I love them.
I love a good cinematic. Think it is. I love a good cinematic, but that is not a replacement for this thing. Aaron Keller in the interview, by the way, super nice guy. Met him a few times. Super sweet dude. I feel bad he's getting nailed on this so hard because I don't think he's the problem. But he said this: I think the scope of the Heroes missions was really, really large, and what it's going to take to finish it was going to be a pretty remarkable, massive lift. You think about making a game that is supposed to be almost its own standalone co-op experience that people are going to be able to play as a main game. And not just how do you put all of the content into that to finish it. Even just a small piece of it, the talent trees, 40 to 50 talents per hero with over 35 plus heroes. You're looking at 1,000 talents or thousands of talents to make everything just to get the game out the door, plus all the content in the missions.
Borderlands, and there's like 5 of them.
Well, there is, but
you're not wrong. Every game is hard. Every game is hard work.
You're not wrong. I just don't think they thought this has to be somewhat financially motivated because somebody somewhere didn't think that this was worth it because they could do it. There's no question about whether they could do it or not. Is it
Why
worth
did
the
it
money
take
to
them
do?
5 years to realize this? They just it's like they sat up and they're like, guys, water's fucking wet. And did you know that? Like they're writing like, do you know how much work this would be? Yeah. Why did it take you 5 years to figure it out?
Yeah.
What are you doing? This was the linchpin of your 2019 announcement. And here we are in 2023. And you're like, well, it turns out it was a lot of work. You didn't realize that in 2019?
Yeah. Well, maybe not. Remember, so important factor here is the meltdown that happened at ABK and the exodus of talent, which is probably affecting this, as well as the pandemic and changes.
Well, here's where I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute, and I'm going to say I don't give a shit.
Sure.
First of all, preface. Be kind to developers.
Yeah.
The people behind the game don't deserve your shit. Now that I've said that, I don't care about their story. Their job is to put out a game for us to play. Human beings do not need to know how game development works. If you want to go out there and learn how game development works, kudos to you. Good for you. Go out and do it and expand your knowledge and your repertoire. It's important to you, go do it. But for general audience, it's not your job to know the ins and outs of game development. It's their job to put out the product that they said they were going to give you. And if they didn't do that, that's on them. That's not on you. It's not your job to learn their life story to judge whether or not it's fair that you got screwed out of the things you were excited for.
You're right.
I feel like my dad's mad at me right now.
Your dad?
I feel like I'm in trouble, even though John's not talking to me. But I'm like,
well, I mean, it's hard to. I have a hard time disagreeing with any of that. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I agree with that too. It's like all those mitigating circumstances aside, it should have been. This was an easy solve. Overwatch is just Overwatch, and sell a PVE like Overwatch PVE, and that's $70, and then they would. It's Blizzard. There's a whole bunch of people who don't play RPGs that have bought Diablo 4 because they love Blizzard properties.
Sure.
Bless their hearts. That's great. And they could have just done this here. Overwatch is way more, has way more broad appeal than Diablo. It's easy. In fact, that's probably how they should have salvaged this, is to say like, okay, Overwatch 2 launched at a good place. We're now reverting back to regular Overwatch, calling it, and 2 will change to the PvE content. Let's go. But again,
I almost wish they had
armchair CEO of Blizzard here, you know. And I keep seeing the easy solves for everything, and
I truly think this is, you know, I know it's a meme that like whenever Blizzard does something bad, it's Activision. That has changed, but that used to be the meme. I do think this is an Activision thing. We heard plenty of reports out of Jason Schreier about, you know, corporate pushing Overwatch 2. A lot of the projects Bo talked about got canceled in light of pushing Overwatch 2 to the forefront. We were surprised when Overwatch 2 started getting talked about. Doesn't this seem a little fast for a Blizzard property? I think it was an initiative on the Activision side, pushed forward, and it doesn't surprise me that they didn't think about it, because I have a feeling that the business end was going, do two, and they were like, well, what is 2? We haven't really thought, and they're like, do 2, and so they're like, I don't know, this will be what it is. Now, I do believe that's the case, and I do believe that if you believe that deserves, you know, an understanding and an acceptance and like holding Activision account. But at the end of the day, it just doesn't change the result for consumers. And if you were looking forward to Overwatch 2 PvE and you're now not getting it, that doesn't suck less because you understand why it happened.
I agree. All of that said, though, I do think it's important to point this out. If they made this announcement with just a post saying, hey, we've scrapped this mode, and then didn't have Keller and everybody else out there talking to everybody in interviews, people would be rabid. So this idea that you don't need to know their life stories, or you don't need to know all the ins and outs of game development. I agree with you in principle, but that's stuff they just have to do. Like if they don't get out and talk about it, then everyone's like, why are they being so quiet about it? They get out and talk about it, everyone's like, I don't want to hear excuses. Like that is a no-win situation.
I think the way they handled the announcement was good. I think it was about as good as you could hope for this. And I think, for me personally, you know, I'm not that invested in Overwatch, but I do feel for the devs that worked on it, because we said at the start of the show, like, I guarantee you people poured their heart and soul into this mode, and that does suck. But for me, where I draw the line is like, but at the end of the day, what are you putting out? to the people that are buying the game or playing the game or
Yeah.
advocating for the game.
What if they got Warcraft Reforged? Because if you Warcraft Reforged, remember, they were working on it till it was done, but then they got at BlizzCon that year they were there. They slapped a release date on it, and that was news to the developers as well.
Yeah.
Like,
And then they just
I'm
had to
sort of
scrap a bunch
thinking
of stuff.
Overwatch. There's this hint of that because Kaplan, when he was pitching it, look. The reason we all think that is because Mr. Overwatch himself, like the man who people watch sit in front of a fire because it was a memey thing to do. Beloved by the community surrounding Overwatch.
Right.
And whose reputation extended farther than people who played Overwatch. You might know who he is and not even play the game.
Right.
Didn't announce it with the sort of sincerity that he usually would have announced all things related to Overwatch.
He seemed lost on
He
stage.
seemed lost.
Yeah.
What if he got his talking points 5 minutes before? I mean, I wonder when his NDA on his employment contract is up, how ironclad and permanent those things are, but it would be great for him to come out and talk and say, those dumb pieces of shit at Activision, fuck them. Like, I'm looking forward to the day, what's this, Booby Man or something like that? Anyways,
Man.
Toots McBoobs
Toots
comes out.
McBoobs? I know what
He
you
had
mean.
some kind of booby name.
Yeah, he had a name
like
everybody
that.
was mad at.
I'm looking forward to the day he comes out and finally, lays them out, because it felt like he left kind of in protest, or there was sour, what is it, creamy oats on the way out.
I think it's sour grapes, but I like creamy oats.
Creamy oats is pretty good.
We've used
That's a
creamy
good
oats
way to
before.
say it.
I think it's a core meme actually.
Is it?
Tig Old Biddies, that's what his name was. Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, Tig Old Betty's.
Yeah. He's
Nice.
a great character in Winnie the Pooh. Tiggle, Tiggle the tiger. But I can't wait for him to come out and tell us what happened with that.
Do you think we ever get that? Because they are
come
no.
visit us on Core, Jeff. If you're still.
Yeah, if you want to come talk
If
to
you
us,
can
that'd
talk
be great.
about it.
We'll give you.
But
love to hear
it's
from him.
come back up because people are watching that announcement now, and you see the announcement where he goes, "We want to redefine what a sequel is," and that's kind of become a meme because everybody's like, "Boy, you sure did that." That's the big reference joke to it. But if you genuinely watch that interview where he says that, and he says, like, "Hey, we need to figure out what an expansion and what a sequel is," and he seems genuinely
That's the weirdest
confused.
messaging, right?
He
Yeah.
seems genuinely confused himself about it, and he certainly doesn't explain it. And
You certainly. Yeah.
the
yes.
reason I banged the Overwatch 2 is Overwatch with a 2 after it drum for as long as I did is based on that announcement, looking at them and going, they have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, they should ideally know what they're doing before they announce, right? Like Overwatch 2, I know it sounds weird, but it's going to be this. And everyone goes, "Oh, I'm glad you've taken the time to have meetings and discuss what the plan is. Thank you for sharing that." Yeah. It's and what it ended up being, it's an update. Like it's Heroes of the Storm 2.0, basically. It's Overwatch 2.0. It's an update.
The way you compare the two, it's dead on. It's just like what they did with Heroes with the 2.0 stuff. It's the same thing.
A whole bunch of marketing. That's why I'm like, I feel like it's not that I want them to get fined or lose a ton of money over this, but the gaming space is already rife with, I think, irresponsible behavior. And I think, governments and all that just have a lot to do with crypto and AI and NFTs, and they can barely wrap their head around or work with any speed that the bullshit that happens in the gaming space will is the least of anyone's worries. But man, this stuff is egregious. It's irresponsible, to
I would
promise
rather
something, sell it, get people invested. I bought a battle. I was pretty stoked on Overwatch 2. I was like, man, it's a lot of fun doing the PvP content. I gave them some battle pass money. Hope it helps them. As a consumer for a gaming company, particularly Blizzard, but I put Wizards in this camp. There's certain gaming companies that when you're buying their products, it's obviously not contractual. Companies can do whatever they want. Say that all you want. That you're reinvesting some of this money in the future because we like your game and we've bought the idea that you're also fans of your game, so that you're going to put a healthy amount of reinvestment into future products. Now what it feels like to me is I gave them some money and they made their investor call look good, and they never had to deliver on the rest of it because I bought a few battle passes and I bought some stuff.
So did I.
In the hopes that there was going to be a day that I'll be thankful and we'll have some PvE content. So I feel like it's kind of there's a criminal element, not criminal, but it's a whatever it is, like just a consumer. This is not consumer friendly. In fact, this is the kind of thing I think you would find, if it was a food company, like the promises aren't lived up to. If there's a certain percentage of something that's supposed to be in your product that isn't there, that is like actionable. And I feel like if people have spent money in the game, Overwatch 2, with the understanding that there was going to be more associated with the product than was ultimately delivered.
Well, I agree with you. I think my overall is that they announced that Blizzard doesn't like to go back on stuff they do announce. I think they are a company historically that if they say we're going to do a thing and they don't end up doing that thing, it either needs to be really small, like freaking Dance Studio or whatever the hell that was back in the Wrath of the Lich King days. It was literally on the box.
Although
and it didn't
I'm
have it
still
in the game.
mad about it.
Still lame, but small and does not have a giant impact on the game they're impacting, right? I feel like they've always done a pretty good job of keeping stuff close that doesn't need to get out until we know for sure. And they're well enough along to know they're going to hit it. They didn't do that here. And I don't know whose fault it is or who did it or how high up it goes, but this is a big fat effing mistake.
It was poorly defined, I suppose, but I think if you go and watch that BlizzCon back, that was definitely the bread and butter of the rationalization of an Overwatch 2 and for a few years after.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of hype around Overwatch 2's launch.
Yeah.
With, the main draw of the game missing. And don't worry, it's coming. We're working hard on it. And then 6 months later,
So 2018 or 2019 they announced Overwatch
2019
2.
is when they announced it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, 5, I guess. 4, 5.
So 4 or 5 years?
Technically 4 will be 5 in November, I would guess, right?
Yeah. That sounds right. Half a decade ago. If you want to look at it in those terms.
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't expecting it to be the best game ever either. They could have just, I don't know.
Half a decade for them to remove one character from each team on the map.
Smaller teams have made money selling these kinds of games for less. I mean, even, I know Blizzard has that reputation of quality, but like, come on now. Like, they've already have PvE content in the game. I don't know.
Do you know why Valve doesn't announce Half-Life 3? Do you know why? It's because Valve is a company that owns itself. They are not beholden to shareholders. Yeah. And I'm not saying they shouldn't make one. I'd love a Half-Life 3. But I can respect them being completely clamped shut about it until they're ready.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that too. It's just, I think the feeling with Half-Life 3 is more that they could have made like 4 Half-Lives.
Yeah, we could have been been okay with what Half-Life Episode 3. Like let's even roll it back further. We could have been happy with Half-Life Episode 3.
Yeah. Half-Life 2 Episode 3, yeah.
Then actual Half-Life 3 and been going, I wonder if we'll do a Half-Life 4 or 5 by now.
And they've made it worse because they did release Half-Life Alyx, and the Half-Life Alyx is the greatest VR game that's currently available. And they not only that, they pulled the Diablo 3 thing. They alluded to, well, no, I think they literally say there's going to be a sequel to Half-Life Alyx at the end. So Alyx's story will continue.
Right.
So they promised that one, and then literally because of the rewriting of history, it's implied that Half-Life 3 is coming. Yeah. But they could just be them being teasy.
Yeah, but my point is they can control that output and and the messaging and everything because they're a non-public company. They can do that. And I feel like the day Blizzard sold themselves to somebody else is the day these problems started. And it was a long time ago. It was 2008 when that happened. But that day is a dark day in retrospect because ever since then, slowly but surely, they've gotten into this boat of like shareholders shit. Well, I guess we got to make them happy. We got to do a thing. You basically have to stretch your principles and your freaking mottos and all that stuff to make it fit that new paradigm, and it's not good for them. And a company like Valve, for all their problems, at least they're beholden to no one but themselves and their players. That's it. And I wish Blizzard was that again. I really do. That would make a huge difference.
They're always going to do stuff that people are angry about. Like that's always been consistent around Blizzard games and stuff. That kind of conversation, but the reputational damage that they continually suffer.
I mean, we've talked about it. It's been my running meme. Is just like, you can just release games now, Blizzard. The days of you being the prestige studio is gone. You've already squandered that. Just make games now.
Yeah, your name's still big enough. You can make them
might
and people will buy
as well.
Them. Yeah,
because you have already done the damage. Like, the way you get back out from under this is to stop trying to be something you're not.
Yeah, or stop trying to be the thing you used to be. I guess I don't know. It bums me out.
I think there's a conflict.
Maybe harass fewer people, but make prestigious games like you can do.
I think there's a conflict there. I think there's a layer, not just of workers, but of management within Blizzard that want that gaming company reputation, the one that's invested in esports, that follows through on things like hardcore WoW and other. That kind of DNA is still in there, and that belief in that's there, and I think it comes into conflict with the cold hard Call of Duty per year, squeeze money. I feel like it's such a bad pairing of cultures.
Yeah.
Between something like ABK and Blizzard, and I think that conflict is still happening even now. So
yeah, it's all pretty weird. But as it stands right now, Overwatch 2 is just what it is. Everybody.
Overwatch with a 2 after.
Yeah, it's got a 2 on it, and there's fun to be had in there. And for a lot of players who are playing it, they don't care about all this drama. They're just going to keep playing, and that's great. No issues. I like Overwatch 2. I like it as a PvP game quite a bit. But I'm like Bo. I was early on going, all right, this is fun. It's as good as the first game, maybe a little better. But also what I'm really waiting for is this amazing thing. And I had people inside Blizzard, outside Blizzard saying, oh, yeah, I'm on the beta, or I'm playing this, I'm playing that. It's amazing. You're going to love this when it comes out. And now all I gotta do is just go, oh, I guess I'll never know. Titan.
Probably it looks like, because what happened was the game's launched. So now it's like, well, why are we spending all these resources to deliver the game when it's already launched?
Yeah, which sounds very smart.
Blizzard would be like,
shitty.
no, let's live up to our commitment. But
right.
At the end of the day,
yeah, that's exactly my impression as well. Well, anyway, let us know what you think about this turn of events. Send your texts or voicemails into 801-471-0462 and tell us what you think about all of it. We barely talked about BlizzCon, but BlizzCon's happening in November. Just a quick note on
yeah. Please go ask your questions and have every question be name a feature for something they announced and go, now, will that actually be released?
Yeah, because I expect that to be the hot new thing during
everybody should get up there and they should go, hi, Grimcrow from Mal'Ganis, and my raid team is looking for people that can raid Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. We're casual, we're friendly, we're good atmosphere. So my question is, the Diablo Battle Pass for Season 4, is that actually going to release? Thank you.
And people wonder why they screen questions at BlizzCon now. I mean, you think it was bad in the past? Whatever they do this year, they'll be screened all to hell. I promise you that. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's all a little frustrating. But now there's...
the only thing I know about BlizzCon is I think it would be nice to see Scott.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see everybody, right?
I want to see people.
I want to see people, but I'm saying it'd be nice to see you up there again.
Oh, I don't know if that'll happen, but maybe. I mean, they usually are one and done, although they did let me do the pandemic one, but it's possible, I suppose. I don't know.
I mean,
I love doing it.
There's still a lot of love for Blizzard in spite of all the criticism that we, and bullshit. I'm still playing lots of Blizzard games, I think. So
yeah, I mean, Blizzard. I mean, here you are. Your number one game for the last 2 weeks is a Blizzard game. Despite all this conversation.
And I'll be playing Diablo 4 till the cows come home.
Till you find the cow level.
Till you find it.
In 2 weeks.
Yep.
And I was playing Heroes of the Storm the week before. I think I put in, a good 10, 15 hours playing Heroes matches.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. More as we know it. Ooh, look, it's a Patreon question that we got here from a listener. Kissy Bears, who I think might be in the chat. I'm not sure it's.
I know Kissy Bears.
Kissy Bears is great.
Around a lot. Yeah.
Always around. He says, "What video game what video game world do you think you would have the best food? I've been looking forward to this argument because John's going to bring up some Final Fantasy bullshit today. I just know
You told me I couldn't.
You can if you want. It's all
Scott,
open. It's up.
Scott showed me this question. He goes, "You can't say Final Fantasy."
The joke answer is the table in the kitchen in Resident Evil 7. That's where the really best food is. Look at that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's not appetizing, they did a great job of making it look terrible.
That looks terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Eat that.
Nobody's gonna eat that. But
That's
that's the
awful.
but that's
You
the
didn't
point.
Will
the
you
question
show the
seriously.
picture I shared with you when I said I want to say Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Do you have that picture ready?
Yes, I will.
Because I did say Final Fantasy because one, it's a profession in that game, which means everybody who's cooking is trying real hard. And you got to do a good job. There's a ton of food. There is an actual cookbook. And look at the size of their hamburgers.
Yeah, it's a big
Look
burger.
at that guy.
It's a big burger.
That's a big hamburger.
There's
It
no
looks
way that-
delicious.
Yeah.
It's as
There's no
big
way
as
that
his damn
cat
head.
boy. There's no way that cat boy is that skinny on a diet of cat burgers.
Cat
That is
burgers.
the. Look at it.
Yeah. No, it's a big
Or
burger.
wait, no, hamburgers, not cat burgers.
Yeah, it's a
cat
big
boy.
burger,
Yeah.
but what's with the cat people not having fingernails? That makes zero sense to me that a cat person would have no fingernails at all.
Well,
That's effed.
it's a screenshot.
Okay,
Fine.
that game's effed. Then here's my pick. I'll put this in the Discord and in the thing. Is that sandwich in Team Fortress 2? I think that thing looks awesome, and I would eat it right now if it was in front of me.
That looks moldy.
Oh no, it's got like I don't know what that is. The cheese? It's a bad lighting. Hold on, I got a better one.
No, that's the
The bread
bread,
lighting.
and that's green dots on the bread. That's when
Okay.
you know the bread gets thrown away.
Well, maybe, but I'm not saying it's the most appetizing.
Okay, there it looks like more like
Yeah. But I just
holes.
like the style of it. It's big
does-
and gnarly,
it
and I
does
would
style.
totally. And I'm a big cut your sandwich diagonally kind of guy. I love that. I think they taste better when you do that. I know it's weird, but I really do think they do. Instead of doing them, parallel or whatever. My
eat
vote
the
is
crust?
Team Fortress, so that's where I would get it.
Do you like
Thought
to eat
about it.
crust?
From pizzas, yes, big
No,
crust fan.
on sandwiches.
Oh sure, yeah, I'll eat them.
okay.
Yeah. Do you not like crust on sandwiches?
Well, I just wondered if the triangle shape was because you get bigger bites with less crust.
Oh, I actually don't have a good answer for this. Why I think it's better. I just always like a sandwich cut that way.
It's like ASMR, but for sandwich shape.
Yeah, like
just
mukbang
tastes
without
better
the
that way.
muck or the bang. I guess I don't know what mukbang means. But,
Okay.
John, outside of your freaking default Final Fantasy answers, do you have any others? that you
Well,
think
here's
are
the
great?
funny thing. You told me I couldn't say Final Fantasy, and then I argued with you about it, and then I stopped thinking about it. So I've been trying to think of an actual answer, because as far as I got was arguing with you about why it would be Final Fantasy.
No, that's a fair point.
And
Neither of us,
then-
none of us are going to argue for WoW food, right? Too low poly.
No,
Doesn't
I
look
was
good.
gonna
Yeah,
argue
it
for it.
doesn't
Actually,
look
that was
very
my
good.
answer. You haven't asked me yet.
Okay,
I was definitely gonna say World of Warcraft just because there's so many options. Like obviously there's some real shitters in there, but
It all looks like ass, though,
Um,
right? It's all
yeah,
low
it's not-
polygon, and
I mean,
guess some
doesn't
of
like
their stuff-
Dragonflight have like the best looking food yet? You know, like the table spreads you can put out.
Yeah, I think it's relative, though.
Final
like
Fantasy's got such good food that grapes in Final Fantasy were a meme for a time.
really because
I
they're
don't
so good.
really-
Huh.
I don't really
could
play
just-
games with food in
Final
it.
Fantasy 14 grapes. You'll see it. You'll see why it was a meme.
All right, fair enough. I like. I think Elder Scrolls Online has nice food. It's decent.
Oh,
MMOs are a good
yeah,
realm
Skyrim,
for
Skyrim
food.
VR.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Skyrim VR.
Remember
There
the
we go. It was nice.
Skyrim with all the cheese wheels, Bo? Those are good. Those look good.
Oh shit! I should think of VR because I've eaten virtual food.
Yeah. What was your favorite VR food
Um,
that you had?
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on anything I've ever eaten in VR, but there's definitely stuff you can eat in VR for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Other
I can't
anime
think of it.
characters.
Like probably like a chicken wing or something. You can take a bite of chicken.
Yeah. Oh, those are the grapes. Oh my gosh, dude. Those are Final Fantasy grapes? Holy shit.
They were. It became a meme, and so they changed them because people wouldn't stop talking about the grapes. People
they
got real into these grapes for a while. They literally patched them. It was in the patch notes.
Wow. They fixed the grapes. Those crystal things that you're always trying to tune with or
I
whatever.
mean, people have replaced the logo
Yeah.
with grapes. Here, I'll show you that image.
I absolutely love that those are a thing. Oh, look at that. Rip grapes. Wow. Who made this?
People don't like the new grapes as much as the old grapes.
Well,
the old grapes had character.
Where's the new
grapes? Have meme power now.
Yeah, what's the new grapes look like?
Well, nobody took a picture of it because it wasn't worth it.
Because it's boring. Okay.
But here's the thing. My character in Final Fantasy can eat pizza, can eat eggs, can eat... what else do I have the eat emote for? There's all sorts of food that my character... And I actually emote eating, and my character seems really happy when they eat it. So, like, when I do the pizza emote, it's not just like they have a pizza and they go like, oh, pizza. Like, they take a bite and they go, they really think about it. And they like... Yeah, delicious. And so if my character's telling me it's delicious, then it must be.
Well, and the other thing too that we can't do in this contest is you can't include things like Cooking Simulator is a fun VR/2D flat screen game where you cook food. It's all ridiculous and funny and great streaming content. The food looks insane in it. It looks really like legit realistic. It changes based on how you cook it. The soups look really good. Like, it looks like food you would want to eat, but I can't count those kind of games because their whole point is to represent food perfectly or as best they can, right? Whereas an MMO or something, they're just doing the best they can with the engine. And
MMO food, I think, is where you're going to find your best success.
Yeah.
I actually do have, and I should have grabbed it for the show, I own the Ultimate Final Fantasy XIV Online Cookbook.
Yeah.
The Essential Culinarian Guide to Hydaelyn.
Wow.
And it's a genuine-ass cookbook. Like, you kind of expect that, like, the video game tie-in cookbook is going to take it real easy and be like, all right, you guys are used to ordering out.
Well, Blizzard did this too. There's a WoW book. Legit. There's a WoW cookbook. There's the Diablo cookbook. There's a bunch of this stuff like that out there.
Yeah.
I'm also just going to give a shout out to Castlevania for the stupid little turkey dinner you get behind the wall.
It's been in a wall, Scott.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I was going to say burger time, but you, like, every one of those condiments or ingredients have been run across.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Some of those are in bushes, too. It's like Castlevania has the original bush burger.
That's right. Bo is just bush representing. Chicken. Exactly. Yeah. I like good pixel food when it's done well. I think it looks cool. You know what? I'll give a shout out to that game I played last week. That hard to pronounce name. I'll look it up because we just talked about it.
Dredge?
I need to play more of it. No, it is... shit. Hold on. Chia, which is spelled with a T. TCHIA. That has really cool food in it. It's all very... how do I put it? It's stylized food, so it's not meant to look realistic per se, but it all looks super appetizing. I would eat it all.
I think it would be like, something you look at and be like, man, I'd eat that if it was real.
Yeah, yeah. Even better that it looks a little foam rubbery or something, like it's squared off, and I don't know. You can do that right, but food and video games, it's a thing, and we appreciate the question. Who sent it to us? Sorry, Kissy Bear. I almost said pussy pants. Why did I almost say that?
Oh my gosh!
I know, it just was coming into my face.
That's not the name.
It was just
not the name.
It was coming out of my mouth. I was like, pussy, and I mean, no, I'm sorry, Kissy Bear. Anyway, sorry, Kissy Bear. I know who you are. All right, let's get to the games. So let's get to the games we played this week. I love how jaunty that is. Okay, let's get to it. Nothing shared, but I was on the road, so everything I played was in portable form. And with the exception of a little bit of Monster Train on my phone while I was in the car. I did do that a bit. But we've talked about that. I would like to talk to you about my new obsession. Everyone knows how much I loved NHL 94. It is no secret that many people like NHL 94. NHL 94 is considered perhaps the greatest hockey game ever made, right? I think that's a fair thing to say. Hell, even the new NHL games, when you go to the settings for controls, you have the option to run the game or have the control control scheme be NHL 94 controls. So they're literally, it's like just says 94 or whatever, and that's your control system. Anyway, it was just such perfection, and they iterated on it, and it was okay in the 16-bit era how they built on that, but the 94 is really the high watermark. Well, despite the fact that PCs in particular have very few hockey games on them, I was thrilled when I heard about this thing. So Tape to Tape, it's called. Tape meaning like, the each ends of the hockey thing. It's all very Canadian too, by the way. I don't know if it's Canadian developed, but the voices of the characters are all like, hey, get out of the way. Hey, I'm trying to, like a lot of that. So it's like watching,
awesome.
it's a little bit of like Shoresy, sort of stuff going on. It controls like a dream, just like, it's things like, we're not playing dodgeball, bud. We're playing hockey, right? Like that kind of talk.
Oh my!
It's great. Anyway, the control scheme is virtually identical to NHL 94, although the characters are 3D modeled. It's a little more stylized. They're not meant to look like realistic people. Their faces are all a little goofy, lots of crazy beards, that kind of stuff. But what makes this game unique? It's not just, hey, here's a sports game. It's a hockey game roguelite where you progress through almost like a Slay the Spire type thing, where you got like a branching path, and you start out with like a quick game, and if you win that game, you move on, and you can say, well, I'll either do an event or I can go to a rest, and the rest will give you a certain bonus, or the event might give you something better. You don't know. It's a little bit random. Again, like playing one of those roguelite kind
really
of
interesting
card games. Yeah,
a really
very interesting
way to look at a sports game.
Yeah, very much so. And it really works for me a lot. And the nice thing is, if you're just in the mood for a good, banging out a really great hockey game, you can just go in and play hockey if you want. But the main game is all about like progressing through this system. And if you lose, you go back to the place. You've earned some rubber. Rubber is like your currency, and the rubber is the dude you talk to. You give him the rubber when you've lost, and he goes and like does upgrades. So, your skates are faster, or you're going to hit harder, or whatever. And you can apply certain benefits to each of your players. Your players are almost like cards. It's weird. But it plays like, a fun arcadey hockey game during the actual gameplay. And then everything else is kind of handled like, oh, you ran into a guy at the store and he yelled at you, and that made you resolve to not be so easy to push around. You now hit for harder when you body check, and that means every time this character body checks somebody, it always ends up in the opponent on his ass. That's like a card upgrade, or an ability upgrade. And there's various kinds, a bunch of different stuff that you want to try to unlock. Everything also has an ultimate tied to it, so you build that up over time, and when that thing above your head fills up, you do whatever that character's ultimate is. Sometimes it's throw your stick at a guy with a guaranteed hit, or sometimes it's a speed boost. Sometimes you've got extra sticks on you, so you can throw a stick, trip a guy, and then keep going and still be hitting the stick into your goal. But you can imagine like a lot of stat upgrades and all that kind of stuff. I love this frickin' game. And would love to recommend it to everyone who likes hockey of any kind, especially video game hockey, because it is a throwback to the stuff you love in a really unique modern way. And it looks great, plays great, is great. Great on the deck, great on Steam. It's already Steam Deck certified, even though it's an early access technically. But now would be the time to grab it. It feels really polished already. $17 is all. And I absolutely fell in love with this game this week. It's so good. So
it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Tape to
I
tape.
can see a lot of sports games actually adopting this. You know how we hit an era where they added XP to literally everything in video games?
Mm-hmm.
I can see like seasonal sports play going the way of like almost like a Slay the Spire roguelite type game.
Yeah, like your campaign or your season. Exactly. That's a great way of putting it. Your season is you don't have to treat it like a normal season. Like treat it with some RPG elements, or that's basically what they've done. And there's amazing teams like the Greasy Lettuce is the name of a team, which is the most Canadian ass like mid-league sounding team ever. Highly recommend controller on this. I have not played it with a keyboard, but it's I don't think it'd be great. Maybe it's okay, but it's just a rad little game, and I just love it. So anyway, Tape to Tape. Oh, and if you're a fan of Jeff Kanata's content at all, he's also raving about this like a lunatic, and now I understand why. It's really good. Okay, so there's that. I also played Metroid Fusion in a perfectly legal way.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I own Metroid Fusion on cartridge.
As we know, if you own it, you can do whatever you want with
That's
it
right.
afterward.
Therefore, I feel perfectly justified in playing the GBA game on my Steam Deck. It runs flawlessly on here. This is like my third playthrough of this in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or something. I love this. This is my favorite Metroid game. And I know that's a bold statement because a lot of people are like, well, Super Metroid or death, and I just love this
Fusion
game.
is so good, though.
Yep.
And it reminds me so much of the Castlevania game that you also played recently and really liked, the one where you play as Soma Cruz.
Oh, right.
It feels like very similar DNA between the two of those, and I played them very close together on the GBA, and they're just top class, those games.
Yeah, if you want to play a Metroidvania that is very much the reason that term exists, I just don't think you could do worse than this game. It's really good. And I'm already like the fourth tier elevator level, which is, usually takes me longer to get to, but I'm kind of remembering a lot of stuff, so I'm ripping through this run a little faster. But I just find it to be comfort and home, this game. And I don't know why it got its claws in me back in the GBA days, but it continually makes me happy. So I'm playing that again. So not really a game you can go out and buy new, but hey, if you own the cartridge.
I think if you have the Nintendo subscription, can't you play it on Switch now?
I thought there was some talk of Fusion coming soon, but I don't know if did that actually happen yet?
I never know, because they always are like, hey, a bunch of games now, bunch of games coming later, and then I never hear and I never go to check, so who knows? But it was listed as one of the coming soon, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know when soon is.
I don't either. When they did announce that they are adding GBA games, and I think that was maybe one that they said would be coming, but I don't know if it's there. If it's there, I just haven't seen it yet. And if it is, y'all need to play that shit because it's great and perfectly legal as well. Although I think GBA, you got to pay the extra N64 money, right? I think it's not just in the base one that includes.
Yeah, I think it is the N64 tier.
Boo! I hate that. Whatever. Whatever. It may be worth it to people. And then
get the N64 internet, man.
That's right.
You can't be living on that Super NES level internet.
You want 64-bit internet, or do you want to play with power? Anyway,
that was so aggressive.
I know. Hey, you want to play with power? Then get out. I've been playing Guardians of the Galaxy. I talked about it last week. I just mentioned it one more time. This also on the Switch plays very well on there, or not Switch, the Steam Deck. And I'm having a really good time with this playthrough. I'm reminded every 4 seconds that John is right. This is the most talky game ever made. I really believe it. Like if there's not some kind of record for this, then I'd be shocked because this game always has dialogue going constantly. But I really like it, and I think the writing's really good, and I think the acting's really good, and I like this more comic book version of the Guardians. At least makes it different than the movies. I love the movies, but I just like that it's different. And I love it. I think this game's great. It's one of my favorite things that Square ever published.
You haven't seen
recently.
3 yet, right?
No, I still haven't seen 3 yet. I want to. But, yeah.
I just don't want to spoil anything in discussing it. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's
very good, right?
The little I played of it sort of preserved that feel from the films, too, even though they're original takes on the characters.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well,
yeah,
it's rad.
And even though I heavily criticize how much they chat, and that is why I stopped and bounced off of it, I think the game is also very good.
Yeah.
Like, my big qualifier on it is, if that doesn't bug you, it is a phenomenal game. It did eventually wear me down to where I was like, I just can't hear them bicker with each other for a while. And then I never came back.
It gets better. I think it gets better as it goes, and those relationships are more forged and less jokey. Also, I'm unlocking a lot more skins this time. I think I'm getting better at knowing where hidden stuff is. So I've got like their movie-looking stuff. Drax is currently looking just like Batista. But then I've got Groot looks like Diablo. He's like this red. I forgot what Brian Michael Bendis, that guy.
Oh yeah.
He did a run on that stuff in 2015, I want to say, and it's based on that run. So he's all this devil looking tree. It's very cool. And And I just unlocked something for Rocket. Nothing for Gamora yet. Oh no, Gamora has I got kind of a sexy thing she's wearing now, which is anyway. Whatever, your mileage may vary.
Sexy thing.
But I think the creature design's incredible. I think the world.
You unlocked her pussy pants.
Those are the ones. It's just really good, and it was on sale on Steam. I don't know if it's still on sale, but it was a total no-brainer for a bit there. It's also on consoles, of course, and I really like it. Okay. Oh, you may have noticed very little talk today so far about Tears of the Kingdom. I wanted to say one thing about that. My daughter, or two of my daughters, and my son, and my son's girlfriend, and no, that's it. So that's 4 people in my family all bought physical cartridge versions of that game. And I went, why would I buy this when I know one of them soon enough is going to either fall off of it, beat it, or be done? And I'm just going to put that on my Switch and I'll play Tears of the Kingdom that way.
Well, someone in your family owns it. You can play it however you want.
Yeah.
Now that John said, now that you own it.
Now that you own it, however you want to acquire it, Scott, is perfectly legal.
Exactly.
I heard that on the
exactly.
internet.
I didn't even think of that. Is that even a thing yet?
You own 4 copies. You could do whatever you want 4 times over, man.
Yeah. But just, I wanted to, at least put it out there. I want to play, especially after watching my daughter play a bunch in Vegas. I really want to play that game. But I'm not going to go spend another $70 when I know there are 4 copies floating around my sphere here. So I'm just going to get one of theirs.
There is some really cool stuff that I've seen of that game. But I am now, and here's the thing, like, up to release, I saw people getting so paranoid about spoilers. I made jokes about it too. Tweeted out that I think Half-Life 3 gets announced at the end of Tears of the Kingdom based on how protective Nintendo's being of spoilers. You know what? Look, I made jokes. I was like, boy, I sure hope it isn't Ganon this time.
Yeah.
We've all made our jokes about don't spoil Zelda. But I've seen some of the things people have built now. And now I kind of get why people don't want spoilers on that game.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, I saw something, and I was like,
build?
I saw Scott showing the boat the other day, and I was like, okay,
room,
so I can build a boat.
Spoilers, chat room. I'm probably not going to play this game, so I don't care about getting spoiled.
I saw somebody build a space laser.
Yeah, you can build all kinds of shit.
And I was like, that's awesome,
laser,
but now that's all I want to build.
Well,
it's a laser in space that shoots down to Earth.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
so you can go to space?
Well,
I don't know.
Sort of. Like I saw just in my daughter's playthrough so far, she was making the wildest, weirdest contraptions. I mean, it really encourages you to just get creative, and there are no one ways of doing anything, which really impresses me. Like, it's mind-blowing. I think these reviews are probably 100% correct about just the level of ingenuity going on here. The one meme I saw going all over the place was people are making big, like rocket-powered penises a lot.
Yep, I saw a penis.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those too.
I think there's a lot of emergent
that
stuff.
Isn't a spoiler, so that's fine. That's just what you're gonna decide to try and build.
Right.
But I just don't want to, if I play this game, and it looks like I might. I mean, I still have all the same hurdles that I had before, but I do want to play it. I just don't want someone else's design to live in my head. It's sort of like, if somebody came out and said categorically, here's the best weapon in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Before you started playing it, they're like, I've run the numbers. Statistically, this is the best weapon you can get, all around. I'd be like, well, that just kind of took a lot of fun out of the game for me.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see more. Every time I see someone say, look at the crazy thing I built, I go, no.
Wait, are you on an anti-spoiler?
A little bit.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
But this is different from a story spoiler. This is
different because you care about this game.
This is this is more of I want to avoid, like, once you have a solution to a problem, it's hard not to think it's like, so we played that game, what was it? Opus Magnum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were streaming it. And you're the one who got me into that game. And so I was like, oh, that looks really cool. And I went to play it, and I got to the level that I saw you playing. And the only way I could think to solve the puzzle was how I saw you solve it.
I see what
and
you're
I
saying.
tried to get that out of my head, and I couldn't. And I'm worried about that happening with Zelda. It's like, well, I saw somebody build this to get over this obstacle, and now that's the only way I can think to do it.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, like sometimes in some cases though, you would just do something different just because you saw it, and maybe that would work equally as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a situation like that or if everything has one solve.
I think there's probably a lot based
I
on
feel
there's
like
a
this
ton.
game, what I'm seeing,
yeah.
it feels like maybe there's multiple solves, but I don't really know a lot. I haven't, I see the balls and penis films on Twitter.
Films.
Well, whatever videos.
I've seen that picture before. The moving picture that I saw. Look, here's the thing. Like what I saw from my daughter's playthrough, and it could be wrong. Maybe she's just intuitively doing it, but it seems like you can come up with a ton of ideas on how to get through things that seem even kludgy and they shouldn't work, but they do. And that's why everyone's so ravey about this thing. It's like everybody can find these emergent moments. So I totally get where you're coming from, John. You see a certain design on a certain solve. See, I like that. As spoilers go, I would much rather not have that spoiler than someone tell me about a movie. I don't care that much if someone spoils a movie or a TV show.
Right. Like if someone goes, hey, here's what Ganon looks like at the end of the game. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, who cares?
Like, okay, that'll be exciting when I get there. But if somebody shows me, here's how you build the proper boat in Tears of the Kingdom, I'm sad.
Yeah. Because
my sense, though, is that the game is very wide in terms of its... I think a lot of games look at a puzzle and say, like, here's the puzzle, and this would be the solution, and that, like, you have to find the one solution. This kind of looks like maybe something more in the vein of a survival genre, except instead of doing whatever you can to build your own house and, make your own thing, you can just build your own gadgets. Is kind of what it seems like. So...
I mean, you're building gadgets, though. I mean, some people are just screwing around, and that's fun in its own way, but mostly these things are progression things. So it's like, I can't get across this river. I have to figure out how to take this log, this leaf, this stick, and these two stones, and somehow that makes a boat, or and it needs to be a boat that moves itself.
I think there's skip. Like I saw one video I did see was someone built like a plane to get from the ground and skip all this content just to get to the last room on like a sky island or something. Like I think the game is finishable in under 2 hours now.
Yeah, the first one was like that too, not in the same way, but yeah, similar thing.
I think you can. It's not just about like there's an intended solve. I just think depending on your level of engineering capability, you can hack through the game quickly or just break it. Like I don't know. A lot of games are like, no, when you're at this level with these items, you need to go to this dungeon. And I think this game probably just doesn't do any of that from what I can tell.
Yeah. I think it's still got some fairly traditional stuff in the shrines and the dungeon areas. Like,
I barely know much about Zelda. This is a tough topic for me. I barely played the first one and I haven't played the second one.
Yeah. But I think, I'm absolutely going to play it. It's just a matter of which one of my kids is going to be done, finished, bored, or whatever they are, so I don't have to spend $70 and I can just play it. Right? Or since there's 5 of these cartridges floating around in and out of my house and everything, technically, I have a way to Steam Deck it that's totally legal. It's not true.
Illegal Steam
because
decking.
Other people related to you bought copies.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
I can't even convince myself. It's like the worst sales job I've ever done.
If you bought Zoolander on VHS and someone in your household owned it, you could watch it. Like,
you can then legally go to Pirate Bay and download it because you could also borrow that VHS. So
Chat says
it's just saving you steps.
Sunstroke says it still looks like a pretty Genshin. I have bad news for you. Genshin Impact.
I think Genshin looks a lot better.
Well, yeah, Genshin's
Zelda.
a better and performing.
There's a lot better gameplay, I think, in Zelda, but I think Genshin looks.
Yeah,
a
but
lot
Genshin.
better.
My point is, Genshin doesn't exist without Breath of the Wild. Like
Genshin is a ripoff of Zelda for the most part.
100%.
Or inspired by. Like I'm not
like the look of it, some of the mechanics, like even Phoenix Rising, same thing. There's so much shit in there they stole from this game. But I'm looking forward to it. So if you're wondering why the premiere,
it's not a gacha game. It's a traditional game. All you folks that like offline mode, I'm sure this game has it. It's $80. You buy the game, you get the game.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons for this to get a lot of praise, and like I said last week, just because I'm not playing it doesn't mean I don't think it doesn't deserve a 10 and all that.
Well, here's something that does deserve a 10. John's continued frog wrestling, and we have an update.
Yeah.
John.
I watched some of this.
Yeah. Tell us about it. What happened? What's going on?
It was a fantastic week in frog wrestling, you guys. It was crazy. We had the debut of mutual friend Ben Bumhofer. Came to the ring. His character is a game store manager. And then when he gets in the ring, he equips a bunch of video game character items to help power him up.
Wow.
He's got the Doom Guy suit. He's got some Samus pants, some Link shoes. So that really helps him in the ring. And he went up against Brian Ibbett.
Yeah.
And won in just a fantastic match. It was extremely good. And it was just amazing. And then we followed that up with another incredible match as Bo and myself went up against Super Brian Dunaway and Randy the Butcher Jordan.
Yeah.
And or one half of the film horseman, as we call him. And we lost, but it was a hell of a match. It was a hell of a match. Bo was doing something during that match. I don't even know what it was. He's wiping his ass on the floor. It was great.
I watched that match.
Did you?
I was watching it on my stream.
Did you see it?
Oh, were
live?
you? You streamed watching it?
Yeah, I co-streamed that match because somebody pinged me in my chat room like, "Oh, your match is about to go live." So I restreamed it. I'm like, for those people should leave and watch it on John's channel. Man, your channel was popping. This is like a popular thing. Like,
yeah,
it is. It's definitely the biggest thing I do.
Yeah, no, people really like it, and so I co-streamed it for people who want to say. So I was playing hardcore WoW and watching the match. I gotta say, I was happy, even though we lost, which I think is bullshit. Which I think I'm supposed to think is bullshit because it's wrestling. Randy is just unkillable.
Yeah, Randy's tough, man. He comes out as a chef, but he enters the ring as a butcher, and
also, I deserve some criticism for not tagging you out like for 5 hours, which I was like, "Come on, Bo, you need to rest." Like, tag John in, and and that. Oh, that chef's apron's good. It's a good costume.
Everything about it's great. It's so good.
But it didn't tag you in, but also I was pretty proud of the fact that I got off 4 taint no things. Like, oh, taint no thing.
Yeah,
and I gotta say, John, the best part of this has been your casting. You're very familiar and comfortable in the wrestling world, and you make great jokes while doing it. Including Kyle's, like, we were seeing too much of Kyle's taint at one point.
Yep, we got a good look down Kyle's loincloth in this.
I saw parts of Kyle I never asked to see. It was great. Loved it.
I mean, Kyle, out of all the wrestlers, Kyle was definitely the most athletic. Like, he has these insane moves.
Yeah, Kyle does some incredible things. So does Garrett, for that matter. But that's where it starts to get weird. So we had Kyle fighting Garrett, and for some reason, WWE's The Miz showed up during Kyle and Garrett's match. And he didn't do anything. He just showed up and interrupted it and distracted Kyle for a brief moment.
That's a move in wrestling.
And it is a move in wrestling. And so the main event, Scott, I got to tell you, you fought Tom Merritt in a last man standing match.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are speculating you and Tom, despite this supposed bitter rivalry,
that we're colluding.
They're suspecting some collusion because it was an awful match. It was the worst match of the night. It was over almost immediately. You barely tapped Tom, and he was down for a count of 10. and people think Scott and Tom might be colluding or something's going on. And because we couldn't go out on that, it was such a downer of a match. Like, you're scrubbing through it, you barely even find it because the match is over so quickly.
Yeah.
But it just didn't go very well. So we decided to end the match and have Kyle try and get some retribution on The Miz. But for some reason, while Kyle was fighting The Miz, Randy Orton, WWE's Randy Orton, showed up and RKO'd Kyle in the middle of the match.
That's how Randy Orton works, though. That's the meme, right?
And
Randy Orton out of nowhere with the RKO.
Now we've got this like rivalry going where the WWE is invading and beating up these innocent frog wrestlers, just this upstart organization, and the WWE is trying to get in on it. And now we might have to have some retribution on the WWE.
I'm watching this match, and Tom Merritt looks like he doesn't belong there. Kind of like he's like, what am I doing? This guy's beating me with this thing.
Yeah, he looks like somebody's accountant in the 20s or something.
He wanted to be in a suit. He asked to be the moderator, and he wanted to be in a suit.
He loves that era that you'd wear like that peacoat freaking vest thing in. Like, this is perfect Tom Merritt. There's nothing wrong with it. But man, we sure did a lot of stick fighting out in the hall here.
Well, yeah, because anything goes, because it's about hurting it was supposed to be this big grudge match where, like, you know, it's really about just abusing your opponent, but you guys just kind of get out here and then fight a little bit, and then you just sort of do a move to Tom, and he just never gets back up. And I'm not 100% sure why he didn't get up from it.
Collusion. It's collusion.
And the match gets ranked lackluster by the thing. So
wow.
It was a hell of a night. People were very, very excited. Like Bo said, a lot of people showed up for it. And I've had people send me tweets saying, like, John, I'm not gonna lie, I am kind of ridiculously into this, like, the storylines going on with this, and it's kind of silly, and it is, and I'm totally with you. Kyle had so much heart. He lost his match against The Miz, but to wrestle in 2 matches with Randy Orton RKOing him, and he still tried so hard. That was it, by the way. That was the move.
Yeah, I think what I did is just
he just broke his back and walked away.
Yeah, because we're fighting on the cement. You know, there's no way it's good for you. Oh, is he still counted?
Yeah, and then you just go to the ring, and then you just stand in the ring and watch him get counted, and you yelled at the floor.
Wow.
Which, by the way, the game decided that was the replay it needed to save, was you just yelling at the floor.
Wow.
So, yeah, there's a lot of speculation that there was some collusion there. This is your core persona, by the way. You have an outfit for when you're a bad guy.
Okay.
You're on Team Core.
I'm on Team Core, bad guy. Sweet.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm an all-black Hulk Hogan back in the day or whatever he was doing.
There's a lot of talk about the jorts that I've given you to wrestle in.
Yeah.
It was just an early thing that I just threw on there for no particular reason.
Yeah.
And yet people think the jorts are the best, so we can't get rid of them ever, because everyone's like, yeah, iconic. Scott would wrestle in jorts.
I would not wear jorts anywhere. I don't know where people get this idea, but it's pretty funny. I'll give you that.
Yeah, lackluster match. Jeez. Oof.
Yeah.
It was brutal, but it was an amazing night overall. The Scott Tom match, which was the main event, it's the second bad main event I've had. That's why we had to do more, is because Dunaway last week stealing the friggin' briefcase in the opening seconds of the match. You know, it's fun to watch it evolve. We're building a story. Dunaway has this story of this huge comeback. He went from couldn't win a match to now he's on a big winning streak. You've got Kyle, who's losing matches but winning hearts. You know, you got Scott, the most devious person in the entire league, abandoning Brian Ibbett.
Yeah.
But then losing the title because it backfired on him. It's great. And it's all
a lot of it is your ad-libbing. Your ad-libbing adds a lot.
Yeah. I think it's really good.
It would still be interesting to watch, but not nearly as much as like the moment to moment like commentary you have, really.
Oh my gosh, what is Kyle's
I can't think of a specific example, but you sort of like imply the story the way they would do it in the WWE broadcast, right? Like, oh, he didn't like that. And I'm like, video game character? Like there's no narrative to any of this. You just match them up, but you're like in your mind, like you are writing fanfic, and you're like being like a DM basically. Like you're like, no, these things have happened between these characters, and you're not doing exposition and saying it. You're just saying it as if it's just stuff you know, and the audience would know as an invested frog wrestling that. Like the overall performance when you do this is actually pretty, like, it's pretty good. Like it's more than you'd expect, and I think that's adding to people's delight. So
I'm kind of growing into it. At first it was a little weird, but I think like last night
what you did yesterday was fantastic.
I was like, I talked to one of the competitors, and I think it was Tom Merritt. I think I said I talked to Tom Merritt, and he said it's not personal against Scott Johnson. It's just fair. He's just moderating.
It's stuff like that. Like it sounds like it actually happened. Like it kept me tuned in because I was going to turn it on and send people there, and I kept it on for 2 matches. I was like, it's actually fun to listen to. I don't even want to play games anymore. I just want to listen to you jam on the. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's super fun, but it is also like it's the most pre-work for a stream in the world.
Yeah.
But
Right.
then streaming it is so easy because I just like set up matches, run polls, and just talk, and it's so chill.
You probably want to feel in a good mood while you do it. It's certainly
Yeah.
the kind of thing you can't feel cranky and be like, yeah, here's freaking Scott.
Yep.
He's gonna fight Tom, I guess. Anyway, here you go.
Yep. Is this this match with Kyle and John Cena? Was this just like a bonus thing at the end?
He didn't fight John Cena. He fought the Miz.
Oh, is that who
It's
that
the
is?
Miz.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was John.
That's because the Miz interrupted his match.
Oh,
you know?
so this is how.
Yes, he didn't plan that. The game will actually just do. Is the way you reacted? You didn't know this, I think. When it
No,
happened.
I had no idea.
The game,
Miz
you
was
were
gonna
like,
show
okay,
up.
I'm setting up an AI match against these two things I created, and then the game's like, oh, this guy's just gonna come out and interrupt, and you're like ad-libbing what the story, what's going on with the Miz? Why is he out there? And he's got words for Kyle. Kyle's distracted. Oh no, here comes Garrett with the leg slice, and boom. And now you're like, there's a storyline here. Like for you as the DM, you're like, well, now there's a. Kyle's just gonna let that go. Was Kyle have a name? Like, is he like the?
Yeah. What's
I
Barbarian?
think
Kyle
I
the
do have
Barbarian?
him come out as the Dungeon Master.
The
So
Dungeon
I
Master.
think he does get
Kyle
the
the
Dungeon Master title.
Right. So the Dungeon Master's just not gonna sit by and let someone ruin his match. Like, obviously, there needs to be a reckoning.
Yeah, I think next week we're gonna have a tag team match of Garrett and Kyle versus Randy Orton and The Miz.
If you really wanted to go next level 2 on this, I'm just spitballing. You don't feel that you have to do this, but if you could somehow record like idling footage of them just going, and then get people to do the actual like intermission, like maybe if you have 4 matches and then you have 2 like listen, I got words for you, Miz, or something. Just like little like even if you do them, maybe just as their voice. I don't know, but just
Yeah,
you can
that
program
would
it.
finalize. That would be a full WWE production you're now producing every week.
I just know how busy everyone is, so I feel bad bugging people for stuff. But yes, you are 100% right. The temptation is constantly there to be like, "Hey, can you record just like you're going down, or I'm gonna, I'm gonna put you down," sort of thing." Like
100%, I would do that.
play
If you
it.
need it, I will do it. I'll record one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'll bet Bo
I'll
would.
ping people and I'll just say, "Hey, it's up to you guys if you do this. This is what I would."
I'm
take.
kind of
It's
into
no
it too.
pressure.
I don't know. You can either do audio or we could actually just record video of ourselves looking like ourselves. But I feel like, for me, I can never do better than the character you made. Like, I would much rather it be the VR. Everyone's like, "Doesn't the VR headset hurt?" And you're like, "He is the VR.
Yeah.
That's the thing."
Yeah.
And everyone's like,
without it.
"Bo sees in 3D," as if no one else did. Like, one of the
Yeah.
one of the taglines that's emerged was like, "Bo sees in 3D."
It's great. It's one of the most amazing characters that ever existed in wrestling, professional wrestling, and no one owns it but you. You're the only guy.
And I was getting legit like wrestling excited when it was time for Tate No Thing. Like, oh, Tate No Thing, and then put my hand on my taint and then putting it in someone's mouth. And just like, yes.
You know what's weird is that I think I finally get why people love wrestling so much, pro wrestling.
Yeah, is this making you see
Yeah,
it? Like
yeah.
you're kind of like, I sort of get it.
No,
You
I get it
involved
now.
in
I
these
totally get it
storylines
now
and
because
all
the
of that,
storylines and the characterizations and like why you would back somebody, why you would like turn on somebody, like
It's
the
days
heel,
of our
all that.
lives for I don't know, for a certain type of person who won't watch Days of Our Lives but will watch wrestling.
Yeah,
Just to keep it as friendly as possible. But
absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
and it's been really fun having people stop by. Bo, I didn't know he co-streamed it, but that's awesome. Garrett stopped by, Ben stopped by for their matches, so they were hanging out while it was going, and it was just a super fun time. A lot of people there cheering and betting channel points. So
We should mention when you do it on Wednesday so people know when to show up.
yeah, I'm trying to lock it in at a set time so I'm not just being like vaguely it's Wednesday. So I'm trying to make it Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time is when I'm doing that. And I will say, because I've been getting so many people asking, are these VODs up somewhere? It took a little more editing than I expected to get these up. I am finally uploading them to YouTube. The first one of 3 has been uploaded. It just hasn't been pushed live. I'm going to do the other 2 probably tonight and tomorrow. So by the weekend on my YouTube channel, Craftless Rogue, all 3 of those will be up.
Yeah.
So you can see all 3 weeks.
There you go. It's twitch.tv/craftlessrogue is where you're going to want to be, chat. All right, awesome. Love it.
I had
love
one
it.
more question. Well, whatever.
No, go ahead.
No,
Whatever you
let's
got.
see.
It's not really a question, but I had the thought last time. Like, what if this takes off enough that doesn't the Frog Pants community have a bookie or something like that?
Bookie?
Because you don't know the outcomes ahead of time, right?
It's true. I don't. And
My,
like it does not adhere to the numbers. Like there are
It's-
power stats, but it certainly doesn't adhere to
You mean
it.
like
There's-
Vegas, like Mitsula in Vegas?
Yeah, it's Mitsula, right?
Yeah, he knows the shit up and down.
Yeah, I sort of I imagined it. I'm not suggesting it, but I'm like, what if this like becomes a regular thing to the point like Mitsula starts taking actual bets or something?
Yeah,
Or there's like an actual like small like gambling ring of betting.
I mean, right now we do it with channel points, which don't amount to anything. Like even people tried to redeem the "don't talk in your real voice." I was like, guys, I'm in the middle of the stream. I'm not gonna do that in the middle of it. So
Yeah.
But no
they
worse
don't
for
amount to
channel
much.
points.
I gotta rethink my channel points now that
Channel
I know
points
people
kinda-
are betting them and
Channel points are
all
great for
that.
the betting because I can't remember. I think maybe it was like for Hearthstone Battlegrounds. It's a fun bet when someone's gonna like lose. So they're fun for betting, but it's like you can't actually exchange them for anything of any value.
yeah, that's
like,
what we need to figure out.
it's just like
How
all
do
the
we do that?
suggestions are like, I don't know, make them drink, stand up, go to the bathroom, like talk in a funny voice. I'm like, these all
It all just the stuff that messes with the stream qualities, and
yeah.
I don't
Like
know if that's the
either
best.
you're putting the price too low that people can spam, things you don't want to do, and you're like, this is irritating. Or you put the price so high that you feel guilty that someone waited 2 years just for you to talk like, I'm gonna talk like this for 30 seconds. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I love it, and I want it to grow. So people check it out. All right, we're gonna make a big whoop
Wrestling's
out of
awesome.
it. It's pretty badass. All right, let's move on. John finished somehow. Had the time to finish Star Wars Jedi Survivor Redhead Edition. How'd that go?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Even though it was a suboptimal experience, I powered through it, and that game is just so good that I didn't care that I had weird frame rate issues going into like
Oh yes, I like your
cutscenes
boots.
and stuff
You picked
like
the right
that.
boots.
My biggest problem is with this game, its performance stuff, is that when they patch it, the patches take forever to apply.
They
and they're
do. They are the
huge.
longest to install patches I've ever seen.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
pretty big
crazy.
game though, isn't it? 100
crazy.
gigs.
It is, but
It's a
I had a
100 gig
patch
game.
that was 129 gigabytes, and I had to apply the whole thing, and it took like 2 hours to do it, or 2-3
Oh, that's
hours.
almost a whole reinstallation of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're-
it was insane. But as much of a hurdle as it has been, and it did get another patch, and I'm actually according to specs, I should be able to play this game maxed out ray tracing all of
Right,
it.
all of it.
I'm currently playing ray tracing off, and I just set everything to high, and it's running pretty much flawlessly now for me. So there is a frustration that it should be playing better,
Yeah.
but at least it's not crashing anymore, which I was having crashing issues up until this most recent patch.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're getting there. If you're waiting for it to stabilize, it seems like we're maybe getting there, if not there, depending on what your issues were going to be. But even with its issues, I loved this game so much that I couldn't stop playing it. And it is crazy to say this. I think Cal Kestis is an awesome character.
Oh my!
Like,
This is you
yeah, I'm
talking
with you.
too. This is John.
Forget the first game. He was bland and just, I'm gonna do whatever. And I do want to clarify. I made this clarification on stream, and I just feel like I should say it here for all the comments I've made about him. He has always been well acted. It's
Yeah.
never been on the back of the actor. It's just in the first game, he just agreed with everybody, and he was just a no personality template to say yes, and I'll go do your quest. In this game, Cal is probably the best character in the game,
Damn.
Yeah.
if
right.
not very high up. And
I mean, Turgle's the best character, but yeah.
Turtles is pretty good, but
Yeah. Turtle's great.
he's really good, and the story they tell here is awesome. It's I want a third game right now. Like, I finished it and immediately went, I wish there was a third game out that I could
Let me
play
ask you
right
this
now.
without any spoilers: does it end in a way that you go, "Oh, they're definitely making a third one. We're gonna get a trilogy"?
I mean, I can see a world where, because of the performance issues at launch, they don't make another one. But I would say pretending that the game is successful, so there's no reason for them to not make one.
Yeah.
I would think that they would make a third one.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's good. I like things that come in threes. Law of threes, baby.
I'm not going to say it ends on a cliffhanger, but it definitely leaves you hungry for what's next. So
I think we'll get a third one.
I hope we do, because again, this journey was great. I feel like they left a lot of room open for a lot of different directions to go with the third one. And even things like after I beat the game, I went back and I was just like, let me do all these bounty hunter missions. And the ending of the bounty hunter missions was awesome. And I was totally caught off guard by like the way that story wrapped up. And then playing through the game just to kind of see what you unlock with the new game plus, like they tease a lot of the way the bounty hunter mission ends. They tease it in the opening stages of the game. And it's just really neat to go back and even start playing it a second time. There was some really cool stuff. They also do New Game Plus a lot better than the first game did. The first game was just like, New Game Plus, I don't know.
Play it again.
You got all your ponchos.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, well, that doesn't do a lot for me.
I found the pink poncho.
Oh, you did?
You did, huh? Did
Nice.
you do the follow-up boss fight to that?
So I don't remember where I found it.
You found it after you won a fight with an enemy with a really long tongue.
Oh, hey.
Ogobago.
Oh yeah. I did the follow-up. There's a rift where you do
Ogobogo.
you do double one. I know what you're talking about now.
Yes.
You had me at
Is
Ogobogo.
it a spoiler? Because it's
I don't know if it's that big of a spoiler. So there was a boss in the first game called like Ogobogo or Ogobogo.
I think it's Ugbar, Ogdog,
Yeah.
something like that.
Everyone's right.
Ogodogo.
Good.
Anyway,
Doo-doo.
there was a boss in the first game that caused people a lot of problems. There is
Big frog, basically.
Yeah, there is a repeat of that boss fight, although a little harder in this game, called Spawn of Ogobago. And once you beat him, you unlock a challenge rift where you fight Ogobago and Spawn of Ogobago, however you say his name. It's not that, but
Yeah.
you fight them both at the same time.
Wow.
So I'm not sure.
Ogdobogdo
Actually,
is what
I'm not
Chad is
sure.
saying.
I'm not sure if I've done Ogdobogdo, the second one. I know I unlocked it. I'm not sure if I can't remember if I quit in frustration or if I actually did it. I'm pretty tenacious about these things, but I think maybe that's where I might have logged off and have to continue the game.
I did
can't remember,
okay
though.
against both of them. They definitely, I don't think they do this on higher difficulties, but on the difficulty I was at, they definitely make them a little more timid. They aren't as aggressive as they were fighting them one-on-one. But I also had a challenge rift that was 2 rancors at the same time.
Jeez.
And
I haven't seen that one.
That doesn't seem
one
fair.
messed with me for a while. I had a hard time with
I feel
that.
like it's not really a problem with it because I appreciate it for what it is. It's just they have hard, like, full kill you moves, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like if they, if you get eaten in the mouth, it's not damage. It's like a hard stop, which is kind of sucks.
Very Souls-like.
But I get why it would be the case. I haven't fought double Rancors, I don't think yet, but I did. Rancors will randomly spawn in Kobo after a time,
Yeah,
and a
I
Rancor
ran
just
into one of
basically
those.
walked around the corner and grabbed me and ate me. Like I had no reaction to, like it was in a peaceful part of the planet. It's just all of a sudden there's a Rancor running around. He's like, oh, and he ate me, and yeah, I was like, that's annoying.
Weird.
Yeah,
That is very weird.
but yeah, I beat 2 Rancors. The Rancors are pretty rough, but they're doable.
Was there a guy crying at the end after you beat him? Like
Me.
No.
With tears of joy that I actually successfully beat him. So
Yeah, they do a lot of damage, but it's not insurmountable. I usually find what happens is I get them down to 20% health, and then I get eaten.
yeah,
It's
they
you
just
just
have
gotta
an
dodge that
instant kill
attack.
move.
Yeah.
well, there you go.
But, this game's awesome. If you have a way to play it, ideally play it. If you are waiting for the PC, it's maybe getting to be about time. It's one of, if not the best Star Wars game I've ever played. It's super good.
The Jedi fantasy is strong. Like for the most modern graphical release, you get the Jedi fantasy, like prequel Jedi fantasy too, which I appreciate very much.
Is that
Yeah,
that
there's
is
just
the
so
era.
much cool stuff you can do. Like my way of dealing. I don't know how you deal with flame troopers, but I just force pull them to me, and like, you just pull them across the map. You catch them by the shoulder, turn them around, and just shove your lightsaber through their back.
Yeah,
it's so cool. You're like, I'm so good.
So hold on,
push.
I have an era question. I thought it was after the Empire took over and they were trying to snuff out all the Jedi.
Yeah, but he's from Order 66. He was trained by Jedis of that era. So that is like, and just to make a compelling video game, they're not like, let's give him Luke Skywalker's moveset. Whine, A to whine, B to swing the lightsaber. Like they gave him like jump, double jump. When there's a big pit, you stab your lightsaber into the wall and let it drag you down slowly. Like it's everything from Clone Wars. Like I think maybe they were preserving more of the original series aesthetic in Fallen Order, which I didn't play through too far. But in this game, it's like we got dual wielding, double sabers, even got blaster saber, which is more of a prequel thing than an original trilogy thing, and double jump dash through like it's prequel ass Star Wars, man, in that era that you're talking about.
Okay, so I could see that argument.
I mean, my favorite thing is force lift. Once I really went that way, I wasn't using my force powers that much. There's nothing more satisfying than a giant monster coming at you and you just go, oh, and you lift them off the ground and then you force push them off a cliff. Because you can't push something that heavy, that big, all on its own. If you lift them off the ground so they can't grab on, you just give them a little push off a cliff and there's a big boss fight done, taken care of.
The other thing too that Scott, you may not be aware of is there's, because of the like Nathan Drake Unchartedness of it being kind of treasure huntery, there's a lot of High Republic stuff in this.
Oh, I like that stuff.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but like there's enough of like High Republic's an era and you're being introduced, which we haven't really seen too much of, I think, at all. Like there's Old Republic.
That's the other game's still coming, right?
High Republic is after like what would have been Knights of the Old Republic, which isn't canon.
Right.
It's more recent than that. Like Yoda's in the High Republic, but he's younger in the High Republic.
Right. So that what's that game coming out?
It's prequels by several hundred years.
What's the game that's coming out from the people that made that Android game? I can't think of the name of the damn game. It's just called the High Republic. I think it is. Hold on.
Maybe.
Here it is.
I think they are doing one. There's a Disney kids show that's set during the High Republic.
Here it is.
You put it on for the baby every now and then.
High Republic. Wait. This is all reader stuff. I'm trying to find the game. It's the one they had the huge trailer for like 2 years ago.
Anyway. I can't even remember the name of the company. Star Wars.
The ones that made the Android thing. Oh shit. Why can't I remember?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Eclipse. It's called Eclipse. So Star Wars Eclipse.
I know. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's those guys. Quantic Dream. That's who's making it.
Android game, not a game for Android. The operating system.
It's actually called
a game about androids.
Yeah. The game is Detroit Become Human.
Detroit Become Human.
Yeah. Which heavily features androids, but has nothing to do with the title.
Oh, my memory. Yeah, that's them. I'm very curious about that game, especially in light of how good this one is, despite its issues. I hope they can hold that up.
Make something special.
Yeah. The golden age of Jedis. Ooh. All right. Let's move on. John, you're all horsed up and armored up for Diablo 4. You did the server
that's
smash.
Right.
Yeah.
I did the server slam.
Not smash.
I slammed that server.
Yeah.
Boy, they certainly nerfed the sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that I did not have as much fun on the sorcerer. Turns out some of the fun I had might have been in relation to the power I felt.
The
could have been connected
Yeah.
because I did not enjoy the sorcerer as much this go around. It was okay. Like I still liked it more than my time with the druid and all of that, but I noticed it. I went from the like, oh my god, sorcerer's a really good class to, oh no, demons. Which is probably how I was supposed to.
Heard a very similar thing about the the Necro, even the Necro wasn't really OP during the first test. The second test, the Necro felt really nerfed for a lot of people. I didn't play the second test, so I can't really confirm that, but that was something I heard. So it looks like caster classes got kind of dinged.
Yeah, a little bit,
Yeah.
but that's fine. I'm gonna play Rogue when it comes out. That was always the plan, so that's what I'm gonna stick with. And but I did do. I got to level 20, and I fought the dragon. And as much as I'd like to say that was it, I just noticed like class changes and stuff. I actually am really glad I did this because they did a lot of tweaks to the game. I noticed the legendary rate was not at what it was, which we knew it was at an accelerated rate. So now, instead of being decked out in legendaries by the time I got to level 20, I had one. And so I noticed that they have also added new cinematics to the game.
Oh, interesting.
Which I was really impressed with where they decided to put it because it made a lot of sense. So do you remember that part in the story where you go in and you meet the young girl who's looking for her mom?
Yep.
And she just originally was up there and she just kind of drops down and is like, "Hi, I'm looking for my mom." And you're like, "Hi." And then she just keeps showing up and you're like, "Oh, you might be an important character."
Yeah.
Well, the game now tells you she's an important character because she gets introduced in a cutscene instead of just randomly popping up at the top.
Yeah, I wondered how much of that
stuff. She actually has a cinematic around
a lot of that is like, they do placeholder until they're ready. And I wondered about that whole sequence because it did feel disjointed. That's very good to hear. I'm happy.
Yeah, it made me more invested in that story because Diablo is a dark universe, and so you get to this place where this girl is suddenly a very important part of the story, but I wasn't invested because I was like, well, it's probably not going to go well for her. So now the game kind of shows you a little bit like, hey, you should get invested in this character. She's going to be around for a bit. And that was really smart. I also did what else did we know that they were changing for this beta? It was capped at level 20 instead of 25, which I did feel. I finally got to fight the butcher, which I had not had happen. I got to fight him twice. He killed me both times. And it was not even close. And performance-wise, the game played astronomically better than my experience in the first beta.
Wow.
Like I told you guys that I had a bunch of nitpicks about the cinematics. It was cool to see your character in it, but all of a sudden my character would warp off screen or load in late and stuff like that. None of that happened in this.
Yeah.
So there's clearly been work and effort and polish since the last beta. I was really glad I got in and did it. The game looked and played better. And
I got a bone to pick about this game though.
Oh, what? You're 10 on
10? Wait, I thought it was a perfect 10.
Yeah, it was a perfect 10. What happened?
No, the game was a perfect 10. It's just they announced a server slam, and I was in Toronto, so I didn't really, and I was tired Saturday. I didn't get a chance to play until Sunday, about 3 or 4 p.m. Eastern.
How did you live? How did you survive?
The servers were shut down. No Sunday night gaming.
Yeah.
Who closes the server slam Sunday morning? I couldn't play. So I didn't kill Ashvala or whatever her name is, and thus did not receive my freemium goodie.
Yeah.
No horse armor for you, Bo.
I'm kind of ticked about that, honestly, because I thought I had the week. Like, who doesn't include Sunday in their server slam weekend? Like, that's a little weird.
Well, they took the AM out of slam. It's just sluh that morning.
They slip him.
Yeah, no, I feel you, but I had no time for any of it, so I didn't.
Everybody's saying on Mother's Day, no less.
Yeah, Mother's Day is hard. And we were out of town, so I couldn't do it. So that sucked. But whatever. I'm just ready for June.
There'll be plenty of stuff. Yeah, just get here already. Make the fonts nice so that people are happy, and let's go.
Let's make this happen and get done. Let's get in.
Although the fonts did look better, I noticed.
They did change that.
Oh, they did.
I did. Yeah. I forgot to notice it, but I noticed it when it was bad. Thing. So I didn't notice it this time.
I think there was a polish pass across the whole thing that everybody was commenting on. I was like, oh yeah, this is nice. Looks good.
It felt like feedback I gave and heard during those first 2 betas was listened to. And that's pretty cool.
They did that interview where they said, John, we heard you. They said.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, we hear you, John. And so we're going to do that.
Turns out you wanted PvE in Overwatch.
Yeah. Maybe Bo. Maybe it'll last longer than a year, Bo. This game. Maybe we'll.
Maybe. I'm not. The game will be around for a decade. I just mean the ever-loving support. Like at some point, this will be a financial disappointment, and we'll not be getting something we're expecting to be getting.
Yeah.
Keep expectations low.
All right. Maybe they'll over-deliver.
They canceled Titan. They canceled StarCraft. They canceled the StarCraft multiplayer. They canceled Overwatch multiplayer and the Diablo 3 second X pack. If there's any indication that more good stuff is to come at a certain point, I would press doubt.
Yeah. They've been doing this forever, though. Remember that point-and-click Warcraft thing?
No, I know about their legacy doing it. I'm talking more of the modern iteration of Blizzard and just having an expectation that the game will be, or and Heroes of the Storm for that matter. Yeah. Like having an expectation that the game will see long-term support at an energy level that matches launch is not going to happen. And that's more what I mean.
I get it.
They'll have seasons for decades. Like I think they're planning that ahead of time. I just think once once it's launched and it's sold at a certain level, they'll do a financial assessment. It won't meet their standards and things will change.
Unless Microsoft applies different standards. We'll see. Oh yeah, good news everybody. The Microsoft deal went through. The EU, sorry.
It did in EU, but UK is still a no.
Right, UK is still having a thing, but the EU did their approval. Now it's up to the UK. They still have to do it here. I don't think it'll be a problem here. They're going to sail through that. So yeah, I don't know if it's good news or bad news. I don't know what news it is, but it's news. Excellent, John. You had a good gaming week. Let's throw it over to John or Bo. I'm really curious about this first one, For the King 2 closed beta, which you can't show any video of or anything, but.
I did stream. No, I did stream it.
Oh,
it's
you did?
Closed beta, but I think it was still shareable. Yeah, I think it was just closed in that it was invite only.
Oh, I thought maybe it was NDA'd or something.
No, I didn't sign any NDA. It was just through Steam.
How is it? Because man, I love that first game so much.
It's got everything the first one has, but the graphic fidelity's been cranked up. It looks less like Polygon Land. It still retains some of that essence, but feels. It's still a board game. They've upped it from 3 players to 4 players, which from a multiplayer standpoint, I like, but single player, I don't necessarily need. I didn't need a 4th player, Yeah. But maybe you don't have to get that 4th player. I don't know. But combat was samey, except you can move around on the battlefield, which is I didn't see a lot of the strategic value in it, but it was early in the game where monsters are weak. Yeah. So, but apart from that, it looks good, sounds good, the music's great. I do kind of miss some of the tracks from the first one. I think the music overall was stronger in the first one, but it's still it's like it's very minor nudge down. There's still some great tracks and some great, it's got this like whimsical aspect to it where I get ambushed by a hag and it's just an old lady and we murder her and it's weird. She doesn't look like a witch or a fantasy. She just looks like an older lady and we just trash her, and the weird ragdoll effects really just and then you're like laughing. They're like, we fought an old lady, we beat her, her corpse went flying in this weird way and it was hilarious. And I'm not sure I feel that good about myself.
Yeah.
But no, everything's cranked up another step. We played it together in multiplayer, so we all have familiarity with the game. Yeah. As you can kind of see, it's sort of the same, but it feels a little more JRPG-ish, I think, because some of the menu items feel more that way, and I think like something's gained and something's lost with that. So I didn't feel 100% about it, but I knew I'm like, well, this is because it's change, and maybe it's fine. So yeah. But apart from that, it's seems like more of the same good stuff. They kind of know what they're doing. But I only was in the starter zone for a while. Again, I didn't realize it was a limited closed beta. I was tired on Saturday, so I played like an hour of this and went, okay, I'll play it some more tomorrow. And then the freaking closed beta ended again.
I think it's because it was Mother's Day. Everybody shut down on Mother's Day. That's what happened. That's what I think.
I don't know, man, but it was real annoying because I'm like, I have all these betas I want to try, and then everyone bailed on them before I really got to sink my teeth too deeply into them. It's very irritating.
I like that Bo talks about closing betas the same way he would if people were like, yeah, come on, we're hanging out over at the Pizza Planet. And he shows up and everybody's just like, oh, they took off. They said they wanted to go somewhere.
Yeah, I just feel like I really, I got to try it. I have thoughts and opinions, but not extensive. And that's just what it is.
It looks neat. Tell us about what happened. Oh, it's so sad to hear you lost your level 15 dwarf. What happened?
Yep. So the first thing we'll talk about is I lost my first hardcore character, Protection Warrior, dwarf, level 15.
What got you, Bo?
Thing was progressing well, and I'm in Westfall, and the funny thing, this isn't streamed. This is just a separate, different video of me stealing. Yeah, this is a different example of stuff. That's also what questing looks like for rare spawns, where like 15 people are camping a spot to try and get it, and I'll get it first shot as soon as I walk up there. Just wait for the next spawn.
Oh, they hate you, don't they? They hate your guts.
Yeah, but that character's dead. It's also sort of a moratorium. Because the worst part is I've been streaming on my hardcore WoW, but I played for like 1 hour without streaming, and that's when it died. So I don't have video footage of myself dying, which sucks. Basically, I was in Westfall. Things are going smooth. I'm doing green quests. And I need some Murloc eyes to finish a quest. And the Murlocs are getting heavily picked over. And then I see 3 spawn. And you kind of get in this mode where if people are competing for spawns, you're like, let me grab 1 or 2 or 3 so that I can selfishly farm them myself. But I'm like, oh, Murlocs are kind of new. I haven't done these ones. The way they spawned, they were kind of close. So I just thought I'd tag one of them.
Yeah.
So, and I'm using my gun as a warrior to pull, which is dumb. There's no line of sight on a beach.
Yeah.
So I should not have done that because then it triggered all 3 of them to aggro me.
Yeah.
And I also, didn't investigate the moveset. I was being kind of casual about this. 2 of them immediately rile up a lightning bolt, fling it at me, and I lose like 20% of health immediately upon pulling. And I was like, oh shit. But I didn't react quick enough. I was like, okay, let me walk up now to the one and fight it. I'm sure I can survive this. I take another volley of lightning bolts, and I'm like, oh no, this isn't going to work. And I book it.
Yeah.
Now, this tactic usually works, but 2 other factors. One was I hit a pot, heal up. Murlocs have high movement speed. So the one that was running towards me is on my ass. And I'm doing the proper kiting technique, which is to face the enemy and strafe away so that you don't get dazed. I hit with a hamstring, miss.
Oh.
Hit with another hamstring, get it. But by that time, one of the lightning bolt Murlocs is running at me at 5,000 miles an hour, is in melee range, going stab, stab, stab. And the other one's firing more lightning bolts.
Oh, I hate this.
And I'm like, shit. So I hamstring the other one, but by the time I hamstrings off cooldown and I get the hamstring off on that one, and meanwhile I'm strafe running away. The one I hamstrung is catching up. We're not running at the same speed. I'm not gaining ground. It is gaining ground on me and catches up to me. And I mean, I swear I was this close from running away. I had time to try and get in a little bit of a bandage. I did everything correctly. The error was I realized I don't know what level they were, and it's always good to check because even though low levels in one area of a zone doesn't mean they aren't going to be a little bit higher in a different section, and I think they were a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And obviously, tempting fate by triggering 3 of them was not a good idea.
It's too much.
And I should have run immediately as soon as I triggered 3. If I would have run immediately, I would have gotten out. So I lost my character and I deleted it. It's gone.
Wow.
Done.
Wow.
But I did another accomplishment last night, which I also have a video for linked there, which is I ran through Westfall at level 5 as a hardcore character. One of the so if you go to the classic WoW subreddit, there's a heat death map. Most common deaths are in caves. But that Westfall run I did is also because when you're on Alliance as a night elf, you can't get to Stormwind and Ironforge without taking a boat to Menethil Harbor and running through wetlands or swimming like a crazy person down to Stormwind. But I took the road. So there's a funny little moment in that one video that I have linked in the show notes.
Yeah.
where I nearly get bonkered by like 15 red enemies. But it was actually like some of the most riveting gameplay that I've had so far. Just almost dying there.
I mean, that's the whole point of the hardcore, right? You're living it. You're doing it. Like this is actually compelling to me. I wish it was in the main game though, because I don't want to play classic. I want to play.
It's not. It wouldn't be good in the main game.
It wouldn't be compelling in the main game.
It wouldn't. There's too many shortcuts. The reason why classic is compelling is because of the lack of shortcuts available to level quickly, etc.
But I do hear you, Scott, because when he said I'm on my warrior shooting my gun to pull enemies, I was like, yeah, and you have ammo for that too, don't you?
Yeah.
Plus,
it also looks like ass. Everything looks like
get
ass.
it. Like my brain immediately goes to all the bullshit that's not in WoW anymore that I'm happy isn't in WoW anymore.
You got to do everything. I'm doing fishing. I need food. I got to get my cooking up. Like you are like here's the difference between hardcore WoW, especially in classic era versus others, is like everything is dramatic. You go into a cave when you can die as much as you want. You're like, it's a cave. Here we go. Kill some dudes, run around. Let me get out of here. Oh, I died. Whatever. Inconvenient corpse run. When I go in a cave, people in my chat room are like, I don't think you should go in there. You are so brave for going in that cave.
That's a bad idea because
and I'm like,
things respawn at the exit. Yeah. And then by the time you clear them out, the stuff you just killed behind you is back.
When I'm going into a dungeon solo, I feel like I'm going into like a 10-man Naxxramas heroic raid. Like I'm about to engage in the hardest shit in the universe. Like there's a tension and appreciation for everything that on the surface, if you just look at the game, looks like the same game, and you're like, yeah, I'm glad I'm out of there.
Yeah.
But that friction that updates have taken away actually sort of add to the tension and dynamic of being methodical and really thinking like an actual survivor, right? If you're going to go hunting and camping, you got to bring food. You got to, what happens if you break your leg out there? Got to bring some first aid. Like you come prepared. Eat before you go out. You just don't haul off into the woods or haul off on some mission without preparing in advance, having foreknowledge of things, etc. And it like really has that sort of feeling. That's why I died to the Murlocs. It was a both an error in discipline and in knowledge, and now like I'll know better. Yeah. But I'm hoping not to make many more mistakes like that as I re-rolled my warrior and I'm going again.
Well, that's my question. Is it compelling? Obviously, it is. You're playing again.
Yeah. So I'm. This is like one of the most exciting part of the stream. I'm walking. I'm level 5. I'm in wetlands, which is like a level 25 to 30 zone maybe, and the Crocolis. And see like 50 guys just run out of the woods there. You have to go back. But like I think somebody was chasing a bunch of monsters. And it was so peaceful, and I got so scared in that moment that there was so many dudes. If you blink, you'll miss it, but because it's already done now.
Oh yeah, I tried to see it. I couldn't tell, but that's just.
But people watching would have seen like there was like 8 guys that ran right to the road through there. But you'll see there's a black slime that I'm watching out, and those crocolisks will run out of the water like and one shot me. Like I'm one griefer away from death, but I made it, So
I'm having a weird feeling. You tell me if you think there's any truth to this, but this gives me the feeling the way I used to feel about Warcraft 3's Dota mod, and knowing then when I was watching it that I went, oh, this isn't stopping here. This is going to be huge, and it ended up being huge, and Blizzard missed the entire boat.
Yeah, this is the next auto chess.
I think it could be. I think making a game like this, based around this, an open world type experience that's hard, that's brutal, that broadcasts your deaths to everybody.
Yeah, everyone's got to play on the same server. It's not fun if you're just solo. Like part of it is the community experience. You see the death log. Part of it is the interaction between players. Like it's an essential. You feel like you're a part of something, right? Like that other players are experiencing. There is a community aspect to it, both in the discussion of the rules and the what are the official hardcore servers going to be like. I'm going to the classic WoW subreddit on a daily basis just to see if there's knowledge or fun deaths to watch. I've been watching Asmongold has now been doing like daily reactions to, because the mod team, like you can submit your death to the mod team, and they put out a compilation, and then people are doing reactions to, like, Asmongold in particular is doing it. And he's kind of funny because he's, an elitist WoW gamer, and he's like, "You idiot! press your button. Like he's got pretty good React content to that stuff, and it's like, and it's just like building me up hype wise more and more. And then I'm playing it, and I'm finding it oddly engaging. Guys, I got to finish Jedi Survivor and War Tales. I really like those games. What do I want to do the most right now? I want to play old ass World of Warcraft and try not to die and make it to 60. Like, I kind of don't care about anything else right now except playing freaking World of Warcraft. And I'm actually stoked. It's been a while since I felt great about World of Warcraft. And I think like my stock and interest in the game has never been higher. And I know chat room's been thinking it was good for me and suggesting it for a while. So it's finally kind of sparked some interest. And I want to pitch something to you guys. You guys are probably gonna, say no, or you'll do it once and we won't get anywhere. But the mod also has rule set for duos and trios.
Oh, really?
And they're much more survivable because as a trio we could tank, heal, DPS, right?
Yeah.
So there is an achievement for a trio. The only rule that would affect us about doing it is you all have to play together the whole way through. There's no logging on by yourself to get some shit done.
You're always playing together, right?
You have to play together. Ideally, you're streaming it. They do validate the run both with the mod and your activities, and it's good to have video to support. There are also appeals. If a bullshit grief or death happens, you can appeal. So that's something the mod community will do for you as well. Although as it gets more popular, I don't know how feasible that is. But anyways, there's a trio option, and I was like, oh, I know a trio of badass World of Warcraft gamers, and I'll totally play priest, man. I will heal. I'll be I'll be whatever you guys don't want. Scott can be damaged.
You're gonna have to be horde for starters because there ain't no way I'm playing
Alliance.
That's fine. Because it doesn't matter because there's no trading or auction house allowed. It really doesn't matter. The one benefit to Alliance is I think most people play an Alliance, so for the memes and like all the activity, it's more fun. But apparently I was seeing a thread that there's lots of horde players too. So I am good. It doesn't matter. We can play whatever, but I want to throw it out there as like a thing we could potentially do is like our hardcore trio. And, people find that shit engaging. They're waiting to see us die. If they die, they win because they get an awesome video probably. It's got going, I'm dead. Like they'll love that. But we're going to try not to make that happen. We're going to try to be one of those people that are like, yeah, I got to 60 in hardcore. Wow. Look at us,
Yeah.
Anyways, WoW could be fun when you're working together with a team to accomplish goals. It has that DNA in it still. I don't know, I'm just kind of jazzed about it. But anyways, I couldn't get there because there was a level ? Orc, and this friendly other night elf killed him for me and let me through.
Oh,
like little stuff like that, right? Yeah,
community.
Yeah, look at you.
Exactly. There's absolute buttholes. Like somebody kept griefing and stealing
like
monsters.
You cheering, waving your arms like an idiot.
Awesome.
Yeah, I gave him a / cheer, and he gave me a bow, and then that was good. By the way, don't I look like I'm in a film noir? Like the lights gone down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what time of night is this?
It's about 6 or 7, but I didn't want to get up. It's hardcore mode. I didn't want to get up and turn the light on until I was sure I was safe.
Those lighting is like every movie where there's a sinister man peeking through a closet.
Yeah, exactly. It was so funny. Like it was just funny how like it looked like film quality. It's just all on my forehead. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
And no, I've been having a great time with this mode, man. Like it's
hello.
It's great. Yeah, no, exactly.
It's literally every film where someone comes in and their lights don't turn on, and they want to establish that the killer's watching them as they do that shot right there.
Yeah,
that's great. I may have to make like a rear window fake movie poster or something out of that. That's pretty good. You look like a paranoid guy.
There is an element of that, but I'm not getting up to turn the light on until I'm safe. I was in the middle of the wetlands run. The Crocolus is going to eat my face if I just stand there, or someone's going to grief me. The griefing's real.
Wow.
But like I think, and someone asked, are the people raiding at endgame? Yep, there are hardcore level 60 guilds that are just pushing doing the raid thing like Nax, Ragnaros, and stuff like that.
That seems crazy to me. I get it, but it seems crazy.
It's for the bragging rights, and it is an old game, so it breathes new life into it. But the reason why I think this could be like the birth of a new genre is because I get that games need to be accessible, but there is something fun about the struggle, I guess. And it's I think it's a good breeding ground for it because people are so familiar with the game that it's so beloved. It gives people a reason to come back and play it. And and I don't know. I could see, like John said, the right kind of mind behind a game that does something like this could introduce something potentially new to the gaming universe.
I'm getting those feelings of like, the birth of Riot, some kind of version of Riot is happening right now. These devs are
I
like,
feel
dude,
like you're nailing
off.
it 100%. This feels like the Western version of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And it feels like we are a bit on the cusp of something like this taking off in the right way. And hopefully, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Blizzard would announce it as a feature and never release it, so maybe they're the wrong people. But like, you know, you would like to think that they would act on it now.
It would really suck if it just passed them by again and some other big startup just made billions on it and they missed out on it. You know,
because I mean, right now it's a great fit for early vanilla WoW, but you can see a game built from the ground up with this style of
100%,
gameplay
100%
in mind, being insanely popular and insanely good.
No, they
and
could
it's
totally
a bit of
do it.
The interesting thing too is like there's hardcore mode in Diablo, but Diablo is a fast paced game. You know, like there's not a lot of methodology to it. This is more like, you know, leveling to 60 is like a week-long affair. You know, no vacation, you know, life, or maybe 3 days. I don't know how long it takes, but it's a marathon. And to lose, there are characters that die at level 58. Like you see them in the kill spam, you're like, that dude died at level 58. I've even seen whole teams die. Like when you, because mostly it's low level guys that die, but when you see 4 people in the kill feed that's 58, you know a dungeon wipe just happened, and 5 people lost 4 days of freaking grinding in a dungeon. And it's like, oh, you know, that reaction, like getting feelings like that while you're playing a game is sort of what makes it alive. That you don't, I don't play like Diablo 3 even go like, oh, that guy died. Oh, I can viscerally feel it. You're like, whatever. It's like, I feel alive, you know? You're just like, oh, but also funny if you can laugh at it and as well as feel the pain. It's been a kind of an interesting experience. I'm really digging it, honestly.
It's very cool. I really do think that if Blizzard wants to do something, they need to do it now.
But yeah, like so they're doing official hardcore servers, but a lot's still up in the air. One of the things they are doing is /Mukgara is going to be a thing where you can fight to the death to another player, and that death is a hardcore death.
Oh wow!
Oh geez,
right now, if you duel, like I dueled someone who's being irritating, they accepted and I beat them, but they yield and you don't kill them. And I was like, oh, it's not in the game yet. But they are putting actual fight to the death in the hardcore mode, which is awesome. But there's a number of things. There's a number of ways to trivialize the journey.
Yeah.
That's up for a lot of debate right now, which is you can easily get a level 60. I see what you've done there. You can easily like get twink. It's easy to twink out. If you keep all the social features in there, it's easy to have someone high level twink you out. Part of the challenge is no auction house, no trades. Although if we were in a trio, we could all get different professions and then help each other with the profession mats.
Oh, right.
Get each other bags and stuff. But solo, it's hard. You get 2 professions. Like
I just
enchanting
think
is
the rise in popularity of survival games that's huge. Survival games are huge. Take these aspects that only a MMO can provide to that template, and then add in that difficulty. You could really have something if you made something new. My only complaint or only worry would be it would cater to a lot of real big dicks. Like you're not one. I know you like it just for the challenge, but
big
some
dicks don't get anywhere. The dicks
dicks.
The dicks don't make it past level 15. Like like most of the once you get to a high enough level, people who work hard, like that's the thing. Like WoW kind of takes, you have to kind of work at it. And the people that are jokers and yahoos, like literally they're like Elwyn Forest is the worst. The human race is the worst in World of Warcraft.
I agree.
There's so many, crappy people in Elwyn and Northshire, and I'm like, they probably haven't even hit 20 like once. Like they're having their fun in that early stage. So once you get past that, like I've gone to level Loch Modan and Westfall, the population thins out and there is much less ass hattery. There are still dicks at all levels of play, but most of those guys are hot air that they don't get anywhere.
Is the game fully PvP on those servers as well?
No, it's an RP server.
Okay, so they can't grief you entirely, right? They can't just go around picking people off.
So the main ways of griefing are, that cross faction. We saw the clip last week or the week before with you can pretend to trick people into engaging PvP. Like, for example, if you're a hunter and you can go invisible and you get a pet boar named Princess, you could trick someone into, because Princess is an NPC, a named pig that you have to kill in Elwyn Forest.
Yeah.
You can trick someone into flagging PvP by making your boar called Princess and having them, attack it, and then you mow them down. Like, so
I love that, though.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, griefing is definitely happening. The other kind of griefing is, like, to finish quests, there are rare spawn mobs, and you could be camping, unfairly and disrupting other people's play. That's pretty rough, but you can work around that. And the last kind is people, doing a threat manipulation, which is like you go grab a hard monster, kite it to another area, and then really feign death or something so that it triggers and attacks something else in the area, and then a level 60 dinosaur comes smacking a level 30 because they dropped threat, and you're the nearby threat or whatever. So there is still a bit of that, but the mods, that's why it's good to have it on video. There are appeals for your deaths if you died due to grief. The people running the hardcore website, moderators, will give you a pass. Yeah. I don't know if Blizzard in their official servers will have the manpower to be doing that kind of stuff, but at least as far as, with scale comes problems, and I think Blizzard probably has to be more merciless than the mod runners do. But
yeah. Well, I'm very curious.
The RP, if you're doing it, sorry, I just need to mention Hardcore WoW. The RP server is Bloodsail Buccaneers. It says full, and I've seen people be like, "Oh, I can't join. It's full." No, join the server no matter if it says it's full or not. WoW has phasing. Yeah. Classic Era has phasing technology, so it doesn't matter whether it's full or not. Like, they can just make new instances of zones if they're overpopulated, so don't worry about it.
Okay,
play on that server.
I thought it just wouldn't let you, like it blocked you from joining.
Nope.
No, okay.
It was full, and I have a full. I have 10 characters at level 1 ready to go. I just made different variations on the Gorath name, and there you go.
Gaforath, is he in there?
Yeah, I've also heard the two most boring classes to level in Classic Era is Paladin, followed by Priest, but Priest has some perks, but Paladin's definitely your 2-button presser. So
yeah.
2-button Terry.
I would totally do Hunter because I'd want to do that pet grief thing. That sounds like fun. I really like that.
Well, now Blizzard on the so the people who are running it are aware that it's the hardcore server. They are going out of their way to be a little extra hardcore on bans there.
Oh,
so
maybe can you get banned for that?
If you get report like there were griefers who griefed Asmongold. And he was like level 7. It wasn't that egregious, but they perma-banned all their accounts, like retail as well as their classic account. So they're taking the hardcore server pretty seriously. I wouldn't mess with them. Whoever's moderating the hardcore servers at Blizzard, I think I think they're getting a reputation for having a pretty firm hand, so I wouldn't encourage it, even though it sounds hilarious.
It does.
Or at least let's do it on burner accounts and not confess to it on a show with a lot of listeners.
Oh, you just walked through a tree. You just walked through a tree with 2004 polygons. That was a gross tree. Oh my gosh.
2004 polygons.
It looks so bad. Oh my gosh.
I know what you meant, but it sounded like you just had at your disposal the total amount of polygons in the tree. It had 2004 polygons. That's
if I had said that, it would have been 2 polygons because it looked terrible.
Yeah, it's old game, but you know what? There's some nostalgia. You go back to those old zones, listen to that old music. It's not the worst experience, honestly. Yeah. It's pretty fun, and playing with friends can make these kinds of games more fun. So sleep on it and let me know what you think. But I would love to do a trio run with you guys.
I do wonder if maybe this informs. Maybe they'll say more at BlizzCon, but maybe this informs the design of this survival game they're making that we all forget they announced. What's it called? Well, they don't have a name yet. Just their
They don't have a name, just a survival game. Yeah, I don't know. To me, that feels like it's more in the survival. Like Valheim is not permadeath, right?
No,
like,
of course not. Yeah,
it's punishing death, but Blizzard's known for innovating in the direction of making death more forgiving, or making things more forgiving,
right.
which makes the hardcore angle of Blizzard games interesting and makes this pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
all right. Well,
I don't know. To me, Blizzard making a game that's like this on purpose, that's like play, die, start from scratch, we restore nothing, we take no appeals. I think that's hard for a big corporation to sell something like that.
No, I agree. I just think it goes to John's thing about, hey, Blizzard, just make games and push them out. Not quit dragging your feet or trying to be precious. Just make a thing. Like, I think this is a good example of that. Just do this. Just make it.
I kind of hope I really want them to knock the official hardcore servers out of the park, because I would say I think there should be limited trading. Like, you should be able to trade with people. You should be able to trade items at your level or lower, let's say, and you should be able to trade items, like buy on the auction house, at your level or lower, so that you can't twink people out. I still think there should be some limited trading, which sounds like they're working on. So this one's a pretty hardcore, but I think a little limited trading might be okay. There's some talk about bot farm, gold botting happening.
Always.
So I don't. Maybe it's just better to turn off. But I kind of wish for a little bit more social interaction and systems there, which I think they're going to do.
Yeah.
And grouping, there's a no grouping rule unless you're in a declared duo or trio. I think you should be able to group with people within like 2 or 3 levels, even to do world content, because that's the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Just
too.
make a version.
I'm
of this
enjoying
game.
it.
You should make it in your programming language in a weekend, and we'll all be playing it by Monday.
In a weekend.
Yeah, hardcore Super Lakerin is hardcore, although there's no health bar yet. But if you
there
die,
will be. Yeah. Don't get too comfortable, everybody. Speaking of comfort, we're going to go relieve ourselves and take a break. When we come back, we're going to do Dear Martha. We got an awesome magazine lined up to talk about from yesteryear. We also have some more news items that we think are worthy of sharing, and a couple of texts from our listeners. All that and more coming up. So come back shortly, everyone. We'll see you in a second. It's back.
But I did see that the second burger image is seeing a lot of use.
Oh yeah, that thing,
discussion.
the cheese quality. I'm sort of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they put a lot of TLC into this burger. Like, it wasn't just like, here's a static burger. Look at the drippy cheese. And all of that.
It pauses the video. There we go. Unpause this. There we go. All right, we're back, everybody. Thank you for hanging in there. We're now going to dive directly into a Dear Martha. John, we have images. We have a thing you've done. It's all here. Anything special before I hit play?
Nope. I just had to get it open, which I've done. So time has been bought.
Enjoy.
My dearest Martha, Video Gaming Illustrated from April of 1983 is what we are looking at today. Let's start at the cover. It features Tron and Spider-Man, now both Disney properties to various degrees. But really look at this Spider-Man. This is a Spider-Man when artists still felt like they could explore the character and make bold decisions, like make the iconic stylized spider logo instead look like there's just a massive goddamn spider on his chest. Or on the Tron side, make him kind of look like Tony Hawk. Hey, Tron, grind that rail, my man.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of comics, this magazine promises Atari versus Mystique, and I gotta give this one to Mystique, because while Atari is a company, you never know who Mystique is gonna shapeshift into.
Yeah.
It's tricky like that.
Yeah.
While we're talking about the cover, though, I do want to point out that ironically, the blurb about the cover where they claim 2 characters who would never otherwise meet or join forces, I wouldn't be too sure in 2023. It could happen. Whenever I go back to the early 80s of video game magazines, it reminds me very much of the times. Bright, colorful covers, but then you get into it and it just kind of sucks. I mean, here's some amazing Spider-Man art. And here is the Atari game that it inspired. Once I saw those screenshots, I suddenly realized why they didn't lean on images to sell or promote games in this time period. There really isn't a lot to see. Spider-Man kind of looks like a 2-year-old got a hold of a Sharpie and went to town on an Eggo waffle. But people in the 80s had better imaginations than people today, and somehow that became an epic skyscraper battle with the Green Goblin. But this restriction inspired creativity. Where else will you find pages with step-by-step diagrams on how to beat Q*bert? And look, Martha, a lot of these old magazines are about novelty. This one literally has an article called "But Captain Kirk Has One," with the subheadline of, "Even if you don't have a 400 crew member starship to run, there are many good reasons to own a computer." Well, thank God we'll finally have a reason to own a computer. Yeah. Finally, Martha, this is where I'd normally leave you with an ad and a sign-off, but in what I think is this magazine's most interesting feature, I'd like to close with 3 different celebrities' takes on video games in the 1980s. Now, Andy Kaufman had a lot to say. He played a great many video games, but I just want to focus on his last tidbit when he said, "Obviously, I'm all for video games, but I don't think they'll ever replace wrestling. There's nothing, not even a great video game, to compare with the thrill of getting into the ring. Even if you lose, you feel good," which isn't the case with video games. But let's see what Cleavon Little from Blazing Saddles and Greased Lightning said. He said, "I'm a Pac-Man freak. I love video games and I find them very challenging. I really want to get more into them, and having the time is a problem. Actually, we're all kind of obliged to get to know them better, since video games are a part of the future. They're an exciting part, though a little frightening because there are so many technological areas which are as yet untapped, unexplored. I have the feeling that from now on, something new and monumental is going to be discovered every few months. That's why it's important for parents to expose their children to these games and do them together. They've got to show kids that there's more to life than games, but that the games and the computer are an important part of the future in terms of education and recreation."
Whoa, man, who knew Cleveland, what's his name? Cleveland Little?
Yeah.
Based Cleveland Little?
He knew.
When was this magazine? 1972?
81, wasn't it? Was it? Yeah. Sorry, Martha.
83.
Sorry, I'm asking you to break character.
83. And finally, honestly, an inspiring bit of text, but let's leave it with the most old man statement from Kirk Douglas, actor and director, who said, "I'm amazed by technology, computers, going to the moon, even the telephone. I just wish I didn't have to ask a 12-year-old how they work." Yours in time, S. Beckett, 83.
Let's see. Michael Douglas would have been in his 30s here. So
That's Kirk Douglas.
yeah, but his brother. I'm just trying to think how old his son would be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he would have been about that. Which is a weird thing to think about. That was awesome. Love that. I didn't even know this existed. This is a new brand magazine for me. Never heard of it.
Still people like both of them today. Like you could probably source these quotes from people living now in a similar Star Wars 2023 edition.
Yep, you totally could.
One guy's like, "It's amazing, don't know how they work." The other guy's like, "I love video games, play them with your kids."
I love this caption on the computer one. It says, "Though video games have traditionally been a stronghold of male wish fulfillment, men and women both benefit from personal computers." Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
Games, not for girls.
Yep.
You heard it here from Video Gaming Illustrated.
That's right. We were still hung up on that shit. Nicely done as always. Let's move on to some more news. Couple of quick things today. Mortal Kombat 1, not 12, 1.
Not 12.
Yeah,
1.
Got announced. We kind of predicted this last week, and a few people pointed it out. Said that you guys are, I don't think it was that hard, though. The way they were teasing it, it seemed like it was a throwback.
The story was going to reboot land. Like, whatever Liu Kang was doing was,
Yeah, the last game ended. For those who don't know, because I'm already seeing people be like, "So stupid. Why are they calling it 1? Just call it 12." Like, for whatever reason, Mortal Kombat lore is dumb, but it's important enough to me to say, if you played the last game,
Yeah.
It ended with Liu Kang literally rebooting the universe. 1 makes perfect sense for the number for this game.
Yep.
It's fine. We're
Yeah.
starting over. It's
It's
1.
absolutely fine. What I didn't expect. So what I expected was kind of what they gave me in the first 2/3 of this, where I was like, oh, it's kind of bright and shiny, and these characters are young. They've rebooted. Look how young Raiden is here, and look at all the different, all this stuff. Not Raiden, that guy's Kung Lao. Anyway, like all of these like characters, I'm like, okay, it's a return to, I don't know, it's a simpler time or whatever. And then there's like 5 fatalities in a row that are some of the grossest shit I've ever seen. And so,
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
So I'm all in.
I mean, it's a very peaceful, hopeful trailer until it very suddenly isn't anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I really like what I'm seeing, though. I think it looks great.
Yeah, well, one kind of hopes is maybe like this iteration will be a little less. Just, I kind of like the goofy B-movie camp of the Mortal Kombats, but it's appealing to get like a grounded, a rebooted, maybe more self-serious version of the game.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from this if we'll get that, but I agree. It does have that tone, and I'd be down with it. I wonder though if it makes the fatality seem more mean, if it's more, if the game takes itself too seriously. It's hard to explain what I mean.
I'm sure
right,
it won't be. Yeah.
When you're like, oh, these are human beings just like us, and then they get their head caved in, you're like, no. When they're just characters, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But and people, I'm already seeing it. Katana and Melina were not in MK1. This is not a remake of Mortal Kombat 1.
No.
It is a brand new game, new story. And actually, part of the reason why I think the beginning of this, God, it's so brutal.
It's so
gross. So good.
It's so gory. It's so distractingly gory.
This speaks my language, though. I love it so much.
It's pretty great.
But there is rumor of this thing called a cameo mode, which is basically the idea that they might have some form of tag system to this game. So it is confirmed that cameo with a K is going to be a mode in this. And it sounds like the speculation currently is that you will have a mode where partners can tag in and assist during battle. And that might be, what they're teasing with, showing Scorpion and Sub-Zero hanging out together, showing Katana and Melina hanging out together.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. I'm always excited for a new Mortal Kombat. Like I said last week, the only way you lose me is if you say, we're not doing a story mode this time. Then I'm like, well, I'm out because I got weirdly invested and have been for a long time now. But considering this is all a story-based trailer, that would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for more, but it looks awesome on the front of it. I'm stoked about this game. So bring it on.
And one other thing, the details surrounding the pricing for it's 2023 game. There's going to be multiple editions. Did reveal that there is a Jean-Claude Van Damme skin
for Johnny Cage. Yeah. If you were hoping Johnny Cage was not in Mortal Kombat 1/12. I got bad news for you. He's back.
Jean-Claude Van Damme coming to it.
Coming to it. Watch for this. 2023, right? This year. Before the end of the year, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think, didn't they say it's actually, I think it's soon.
It may
when
be...
was it? They said it at the end of the trailer, I think.
Oh.
Really soon, eh? That's kind of wild.
I was...
I guess they've been building. It seems like
September
the way things
19th.
Jeez,
they've been building on their existing engine, right? Like I don't know how much is starting from scratch versus building on what's come before.
It's 3 months away, you guys.
It's not very far, and also it's all they've been working on. But also, this is usually a DC year for them. They usually do the what's it called? Uninvolved? What is it?
Injustice.
Injustice.
Uninvolved. The great fighting game called Uninvolved.
Uninvolved. It's a bunch of people just going, I'm not going to get it. It's about all those Street Fighter characters in the background that were just like,
whoa. Yeah. Not me. I don't have a horse in this race.
I do remember, what's ironic about this? I totally remember Dishonored this week. No problem. Yeah. But it doesn't even need to come up because no one's talking about it and Redfall still sucks. So there's that.
And you can remember Redfall.
Yeah, I remember Redfall really well. It's garbage. All right, let's move on.
4 months. It's not 2024, right? It really is just 4 months away.
Just 4 months away.
Right?
Yeah. This is what I like. I like when a game comes out quick and we didn't know about it and it's polished and good. And I like this.
It didn't say 2023.
No, the video didn't.
If they have to delay it, they buy a whole year.
Yeah, that's a good point. They could delay it. I'll bet it's this year, though. I'll bet you.
I think it is, too.
Amazon announced a Lord of the Rings MMO, which is probably a surprise for the Lord of the Rings MMO that already exists. I know Lord of the Rings Online has its following. It does fine. It's been around forever. This is probably a little weird, right? Two Lord of the Rings MMOs simultaneously. I mean, one's really old, and this would be, presume it would be a nice modern thing with modern sensibilities, but still, it's a little strange. But they're working on one, so watch for that.
You will now have two choices in Lord of the Rings MMOs. Yep. What a bounteous experience.
I guess D&D has a bit of this because they've got the D&D one that's just called Dungeons and Dragons Online, and then they have the one that's I forgot the name. It's a free-to-play one that's seemingly does okay. I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, there are multiple D&D branded MMOs out there, but no one thinks of those as this. But as like an IP property, an entertainment/book property like this, it's a little weird to have two going. But maybe they'll do the whole what was the show called? Happy Rings R Us. What was it?
Happy Rings? Are you talking about Rings of Power?
Rings of Power. Maybe they focus on that era or something. I don't know.
I mean, they made that show, didn't they? Right?
Yeah, it was an Amazon Studios thing.
Amazon show, so they're like, hey, we can get people into the show. Let's create brand synergy. Yep. Somewhere, someone said brand synergy.
Yep, and that person sucks.
I want to interject a little bit. Just something to let people know about. On Steam right now, you can buy the Ultimate Edition of MK11 and the Ultimate Edition of Uninvolved 2 for it's $13 Canadian.
For both? For
both games? Gosh, that's a good deal. That's a lot of story gameplay.
They're basically basically giving the games away for free. Basically,
if you were saving up playing a PvE mode in a competitive game and Overwatch just burst your bubble, buy both those games and you've got hours of PvE content.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm pretty sure I have both on Steam already, but I'm gonna check because that's
but I mean, it's just buying the base game Mortal Kombat is $7 Canadian. Like they're just pretty much giving it away. It's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
I love Injustice as well.
Injustice is fantastic.
It's proof that Mortal Kombat isn't successful simply on the back of fatalities.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you know what else is cool? You know what else is cool? The comic spinoff from the game. So much better than it has any right.
Comic books I've ever read.
Yeah, it has no right to be as good as it is. It's fantastic. Is it Tom King
Scott,
or
if we
the other
can
guy?
just nerd out for a moment, did you know that Superman's son, John Kent, is currently in the Injustice universe?
Yes.
Like canon John Kent just met Injustice Superman. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's a crazy good series. If you guys have slept on that, don't. I get when you see a crossover with games on comics and you just kind of roll your eyes. I get that tendency. This is not that. This is so good.
And awesome. Also the but Superman's evil thing is a trope. Like the comic books contain one of the greatest Superman stories ever told. And proof that Tom Taylor, the guy who wrote it, wants to write Happy Superman and just didn't get the opportunity to.
Yep.
But there's an issue called The Man of Yesterday, which is the Superman that everybody who wants a good Superman story, it's that Superman. It's Superman helping a kid fix his bike.
Yep.
Like it is so good.
Yep.
Injustice is amazing.
Yeah, Tom Taylor, an amazing writer too, by the way. Tom King as well. Both Toms at DC.
Both the Toms killing it.
Hold on to those guys, because they're great. All right. Well done. Let's do some correspondence.
That's a good question.
Thanks, Marzipanzi, again for that term we're now using. You can email us, text us, and all sorts of stuff here at the show. Today it's going to be texts. These all came to 801-471-0462. And the first one's from Pat, who says, hello, core crew. When it comes to the home defense question, we were talking about what console would you defend yourself with, like as a weapon. That was last week. I don't know how nobody mentioned the S-tier home defense, an original Game Boy. It's basically a brick, so if you throw it at an assailant's head, night. And the best part is it would probably still work afterwards. Love the show, Pat. Fair point. They're just not very heavy
Yeah.
or sharp-edged or anything, you know? They're just kind of, I don't know. I feel like I could take a hit from a Game Boy. Maybe not multiple, but
You're like, yeah, it would be heavy, but it's not sharp.
Right.
And but I think you could get some heft behind it. Like
yeah.
some of those other consoles are heavier. You know, you're fighting your own ability to throw. You can chuck a Game Boy.
It's also
solid.
more aerodynamic than, say, a Steam Deck, which I think has more heft, but is it's kind of unwieldy and wide.
Yeah,
I feel like
I'd be
yeah.
afraid to throw the Steam Deck for multiple reasons. One, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot for a weapon.
Two, it's built in such a way that I would be concerned, though I would be surprised that it came back and hit me like a boomerang.
Like a boomerang? I love it.
I don't know that it would do it, but I don't know that it wouldn't do
Yeah,
it.
there's like a better than zero chance that it might come back and hit me. I love that. Let's move on to this one from Tim in Illinois. This is, let's see, where is it? Here we go. Hey, Core Crew. When I listened to Bo's list of the qualities of War Tales, I couldn't help but think, wow, this sounds a lot like Expeditions or the Expeditions series. Anyone who likes Divinity 2 set in historical eras needs to play Expeditions Rome, says Tim in Illinois. This, I believe, is on...
I had this on my wish list.
It's on Game Pass PC, but I'm pretty sure I haven't played it yet. So you haven't played it, Bo? You don't, but you know about it.
No, I didn't know about it prior to War Tales. The one I'd heard of was Battle Brothers. But yeah, I mean, I looked up those comparisons too. I can't remember. I just got exploring one day, and yeah, I mean, War Tales has taken up a lot of my time, so I don't really have room for a second one. Dance card being full, but if you're looking for more, this does look like a variation on the same theme.
It looks like I thought it was, well, I guess War Tales is a bit like this too, but to me it struck me as kind of XCOM-y. But I think I'm just thinking of the combat sequences and they're turn-based.
Yeah. I think this one might be a little more campaign or just have story elements, a little more. War Tales a little more agnostic to those things, but you know, turn-based warband management. I don't know what to call the genre apart from use 15 words.
Yeah. It's got
the
the big
looks
zoom,
interesting.
Big zoomed out camera when you're traveling and zoomed in combat.
I think it's one of those things where it's like sometimes you've got a game in a genre and you like it and you don't necessarily need to play all the games in the genre. Is how I feel about War Tales right now. Like I'll get that experience from War Tales and I'll be like, okay, I'm good. Move on to other things. So I'm not rushing out to get this, but I did wishlist it because you never know. I might get into War Tales and want more of something like that, and that'll be there for me.
Boy, a lot of Divinity comparisons in these reviews too. I guess he said that in his message, but
yeah,
I'm tempted as well. I think it is on Game Pass. So for those out there with Game Pass PC,
I mean, again, if you're looking for a Divinity substitute, you know, we don't have much longer till Baldur's Gate 3 is in full release. Yep. So, you know.
Oh my gosh, that is soon. Is that August?
Yeah.
Oh my
August.
gosh.
So this fall we'll be playing it. Are we playing together?
I want to play that one together. Can we do that? Can we find a way?
Yeah, absolutely.
We gotta figure something out.
That would be great. How many players can play in the campaign?
I think it's up to 4 players. So we can do 3. I don't think you have to fill all 4 out, but we could find a 4th.
We could get Kyle. I'll bet he'd do it, and Kristen would happily cheer us on if I had to guess.
Yeah. I think we can talk to Kyle about that.
I would
leave Garrett out, I guess.
to
Garrett's not going to be happy about that.
I think it broke Garrett's heart that he got left out. Of course, so did you guys. I'm the only one that got in on the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, the last.
Really, I'm the one who deserves to be left out at this point because I left both of you out, and Garrett got left out. It's really my turn.
People want the core crew together, you know. So I think this would be extra content for the show. Like,
that's true.
Let them fight it out in the wrestling game. Have their characters fight in the wrestling game. Whoever wins the match.
There you go. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
Why don't we do that?
We'll do a tournament to see who gets invited.
None of us will be a
the
part of the
Baldur's
game.
Gate.
No.
It'll be Ben, Brian Ibbett, The Miz, and Kyle.
And Kyle.
So we'll have, and Kyle will still be in there.
Yeah. There you have it. Well, anyway. Yeah, that's excited about that game. But also, this Expedition thing seems cool. This came out just last year is all. So it's new-ish. Anyway, thank you for the reminder that it exists, Tim. And if you want to be like Tim in Illinois or Pat or any of our people who email us, text us, or whatever, you can find all that contact detail stuff over at frogpants.com/core. All right. Before we get out of here, another big list of new patrons. You guys are awesome. My gosh, I don't even know what to say to these people. I'm going to name their names, though. All right? I might mess some of them up. So let's see who just joined us at patreon.com/core show. Mace Grimm, Nightwing. Not the real Nightwing, I'm guessing. Ben Coates.
We don't know.
Well, we don't know.
It's not Doc's Nightwing. He just wants to go by his alias.
Yeah, we don't want to dox Dick Grayson. Let's see. Ben Coates, TDP minus. Is that a WoW reference? That guy?
Yeah, total Dragon Point minus.
All right.
I thought it was DKP.
It is usually, but that's why.
I'm what is it? Yeah, that is Dragon Kill points. Yeah, DKP. What's TDP?
TDP? Total disciplinary penis minus. I have no idea. TDP. I don't know. It could be something totally different. You could write in and tell us. Let us know. TDP minus. Also, Carla M, Patrick Alcorn, Mucklefish. Look at
Mucklefish.
Yeah, I love that name. George Orr, Christian Campbell, Stud Nerd.
that's his nerd. You got like the board game geek, and you got the fitness geek, and now you got Stud Geek. Who's
Stud Geek. Yep, Stud Nerd.
I know all about being handsome and virile.
That's right. The ladies love him. And then finally, Dennis. All of you are amazing new people.
Oh, no, Dennis, no. I'm just kidding.
Just kind of landed in a funny place. But you guys are all amazing, and you have joined a big, happy family of patrons who are helping real cool shit happen around here. So thank you so much. Patreon.com/core show is the place to go find it. You'll never get commercials. You'll get host content every week. Oh, by the way, before this weekend's up, you'll have my my May episode host thing, which I'm very excited about. I'm going deep on why Chorecore works.
How do we get to listen to it? Do I have to become a patron too?
Yeah, I need to listen to it because I
need
to know what you guys did to help inspire me when it's my turn.
I'll put a copy of it in our Discord, and the rest will go to the patrons. So you don't have to worry about it.
Sweet, take that, patrons. I don't gotta pay.
I can give you Bose as well, John. Did you ever hear Bose?
No, I didn't hear.
Bose. I'll give you. I still have it. I can give it to him. Anyway, those happen every month. You also get other cool benefits like art in the mail. That reminds me, I got to draw something. It's almost it's the 18th. I got to hurry. Anyway, every month, brand new art from me, and all this stuff comes at a very low price. Check it out, patreon.com/core show. All right. I think that is going to do it for us. But first, Grandma's got to have her say and tell us what we played today. So, Grandma, please take it away.
Well, despite the fact that they talked about it for like 2.5 hours, you might have forgotten what games they mentioned somewhere along the way. So here's the games that the boys played.
Yeah.
Scott played Tape to Tape. That's the hockey one. If you have a vague recollection of hockey, Tape to Tape is the game for you. Oh. He played Metroid Fusion in a 100% legal capacity. Please don't sue Nintendo. And he played Guardians of the Galaxy because Scott just is drawn to the sound of idle arguments. John continued to watch wrestling happen in WWE 2K23. He finished Star Wars Jedi Survivor, good on him. And he played Diablo 4 in the beta. Apparently it wasn't a perfect enough 10 for Bo to figure out a way to make that happen because it's not on his list. He played For the King 2 in beta. And he also played hardcore WoW.
Yeah,
wow.
These are all truths. Oh, and I should thank people real quick. There's been so much going on, I almost forgot to mention it. As of yesterday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, the Kickstarter for Dungeon Murder, my new card game, ended. Yeah. And not only did it fund, we funded it 400% higher than I needed it to do.
Nice.
Congratulations. Which means a whole lot of work is about to happen, but I'm thrilled to do it and fulfill it and get it out there, and I can't wait for people to play it. You're going to go, oh, it's just another one of his pet projects. It's probably okay, but I'm telling you, you're going to have a blast with this effing game. It's so much fun. People played it in Vegas, and they would never lie to me how much they liked it. So I want you to know that if you missed,
John really liked that.
I'm sure it's true, but it just was very funny to me. They never lie to me.
Yeah, they never lie to me. No one.
I have friends that would never tell me the dishonest statement.
Yep, never mistruths in those people. So if you want to find out for yourself, here's the deal. Either supported it and you'll get those first, or once everyone's fulfilled, I'll put them up on the store after. So there's still some that will come to those who maybe missed it or otherwise couldn't do it at the time. Anyway, giant thanks to everybody for your support. That means a lot to me.
Congratulations on the successful Kickstarter.
Thank you
That's what
very
we wanna
much.
see.
I can't wait to
Yeah,
get decks out to all of you guys so everybody can experience the damn thing. I'm very proud of it.
Man, why didn't I put money towards this?
Well, you're busy. You got
I
so
don't
many-
know.
I'm not.
I know.
Well,
I know why I didn't. I'm broke. But
Can I still
why
fund?
didn't you, Bo?
Yeah,
You
why-
have money coming out
money
your
coming
ears.
out of your arse.
well, not out my ears, but I can toss. I like to support my friend. I feel bad. I
feel
meant
bad.
to do it with Rock Runners,
Eh,
and now I didn't do it with this.
three weeks was all you had, and it's just it's not a lot of time.
It's not a time thing. It's just like I just need someone. It's like a lot of stuff in my house. If someone doesn't tell me, "Hey, take the garbage out," I forget about it.
Yeah.
And it stinks.
It's
Stuff like that.
I understand, but it's all good because I'm just proud of it, and it wouldn't even if I'd only done the tiny amount we asked for, I'd still be thrilled because this is going to be great once I get into people's hands. So look forward to that. Thank you all again for your support on that. Any of you listeners of Core. In the meantime, until we're back next week, frogpants.com/core has all our contact details, all our stuff. And if you want to watch the show live, we do it on YouTube on Thursday nights. Just go to youtube.com/Scott Johnson, or you'll find it on our page. That's going to do it for us. For me, for John, for Bo, and for the rest of you. We'll see you next time.
If you like what you just heard, there's a very good chance you will like all the shows on the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
You have chosen to defy peace.
Oh, man. That's not
Like
my
Genji?
fault.